On the 8th of July, the Commission sent you a request for submission of the 5-year declaration of assets and personal interest. On 15th July, you submitted your 5-year declaration. The Commission also asked candidates to voluntarily complete and submit an ethics questionnaire, and you did so on the 5th of July 2022. The Commission sent you 2 rounds of questions on 5 September and 11 November respectively. You were asked a total number of 48 questions, including 151 subparts, and 45 of the questions included the request for further documentation. According to Article 3, Paragraph 4 of the evaluation rules of the Commission, a candidate may not provide information, documents, or other materials during the hearing if the Commission requested these earlier and the candidate did not provide them within the time specified, unless, of course, the candidate provides sufficient justification. Before getting started with the actual hearing in your case, since you have not submitted answers to the second round of questions, I would like to ask you whether you have any justification for the submission or for the non-submission of your questions. And of course, the Commission would like to hear your arguments and based on that would like to proceed with the hearings. If you have any issues in relation to this or other aspects that you would like to raise now before the questions, then you have the floor now, sir. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Chairman, I welcome all the members of the Commission, dear audience, representative of mass media, and I will go directly to the subject. So, Mr. Chairman, you said about the fact that I didn't give the answers to the second round of questions, and here is my explanation. So, I suppose that the members of the Commission and the Secretariat, they know that during this exercise, within this exercise, I did not refuse to present documents. I actually presented documents at the right time, previously, and it was fully in line with the Law 26. And it was also according to the internal regulations. I also gave all the answers after the first round of questions that Mr. Chairman mentioned. When it comes to the second round, as you already know, it's not a secret, between 5 and 9 September, when I had to give the answers after the first round of questions, specifically in that day, 9 of September, which was the last day, I managed to send the answers to the questions to the Commission. So in that day, the National Center of Anti-Corruption made some searches at my place. And this somehow was a surprise for me. I can say it was a surprise or not. But with the chief of the Secretariat, I had discussions, and I said that I have reasonable doubts in that context that some of the data that was accessed by the members of the Secretariat were leaked and probably reached some other people besides those that had to have access. This is not only a suspicion of Postică candidate. I can prove this today to the dear members of the Commission. So, at the meeting of the Supreme Council of Magistrates, through which the agreement for the search was made within the criminal case for illicit illegal enrichment. I hope I'm not speaking too fast for the translators to manage. And it was found, so a few accessing of my personal data was identified, and that was related to my real estate and the register of people involved and information from the tax state authority. I would like to inform the dear members of the Commission that one of the accessing was from the National Center of Anti-Corruption, and this happened on the 5th of July 2022. I don't know how this document was found and attached to the criminal case against the candidate Postică, and it was started on 9 of September 2022. So they had that information. It was an evidence that was obtained in July, and then I think it was illegally administered by the National Center of Anti-Corruption. And my supposition is that in the same day, the 5th of July, the Secretariat of Pre-Vetting Commission, they accessed also other materials. Yes, you have presented that, but the name of the operator, of the personal data operator, is blurred, so I cannot identify who exactly searched for that information about me. And this actually raised a lot of reasonable doubts. I don't want to accuse anyone, not the members of the Secretariat, moreover, the members of the Commission, but to me that was a clear indication of the fact that my personal data and the data of my family is accessed in an illegal way, and it could be possible to have this synchronization between the accessing the information by the Commission and by the National Anti-Corruption Center. So it means that not only the Pre-Vetting Commission is searching information on me, but also the National Center of Anti-Corruption. I made a complaint at the Center of Data Protection. It is still under examination. And on the 13th of December, the Commission showed me a part of the case, criminal case of Mr. Postică, candidate Postică, and I want to tell you that I still didn't receive the file in original, and this is an information also relevant for the press. So I requested it, but they sent me only some copies, and more than 90% of that was documents that I personally presented to the Commission, with small exceptions. So it was some information that the Secretariat requested from the State Tax Authority. So, Mr. President, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to make a declaration probably at the end of the meeting, because I suppose we still have a lot of work today, because I prepared some information, some declaration for you, for the Commission, but also for the representative of mass media and civil society. I prepared a list of documents for them. And this, actually, situation determined me to believe that further presentation from my side to the Secretariat can make prejudice to me and to my family, because besides my data, there were information about my wife and her professional activity. So this is the main reason. There are a few aspects, but maybe you have questions at this stage, and I'm open for any answers. And if you allow me, sorry, and from our written communication, I actually informed the Chief of the Secretariat that I do not refuse to answer to the last round of questions. I'm not sure it was correctly interpreted. All the information, all the documents can be presented, but to the members of the Commission. Just please do not interpret this that I refuse to give answers. I just want to give them directly to you, not through the Secretariat. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your clarification. I think that is very clear. Are there any questions from the members of the Commission? Yes, Nadezhda, please go ahead.
Mr. Postică, you today told us for the first time about this situation of the 5th of July, and we want to clarify. So you received a declaration from the you received from the Commission the request to present the information on the 5-year declaration. You received it from the Commission on 15 of July, because we sent to everyone, and we were not able to access your information before 15 of July, and you told us about the date of 5 of July. That was the date when somebody accessed your personal information, and you have doubts that Commission did that. So I want to clarify that, because you did not present. Okay, 4 of July. These are documents that I received on Monday from from Chief of the Secretariat. These are copies generated on the 4th of July 2022. So this is Mr. Postică, here my name, the information from the state tax authorities, accessed on the 4th of July. I will present this to the Commission. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure, because the declaration was sent to you the 8th of July, and the 15th of July you gave us the information. I just want to make sure, but it's not a supposition. I just showed you. The pre-vetting commission accessed my data on the 4th of July. This is from the Secretariat.
What I would suggest to do is the following. We have heard your comments and your explanations. As I mentioned before giving you the floor, we have our evaluation rules. So we have carefully listened to your explanations. So what the Commission will do is we will go on with the hearing as we have planned, of course. As you said, there's a lot of work to be done this afternoon. After the hearing and in deliberations and in the preparations for our decision, we will of course take fully into consideration the explanation that you've been giving, any materials that you may provide this afternoon, and we will then assess based on the explanations whether we will include them in our decision. With that being said, I would suggest this afternoon 2 of the members of the Commission will ask you questions. We will start with Mrs. Tatiana Raducanu for the first group of questions, and then I will proceed. So, Mrs. Raducanu, you have the floor.
Bună ziua, judecător Postică, domnul judecător. Așa.
Good afternoon, Mr. Judge Postică. So the first issue that we are going to talk about is going to be the preferential price apartment, privatization, and plot attribution. I am going to focus on the facts that was established by the Commission, and then I'm going to kindly ask you to answer to some questions. In May 2006, when you held the position of prosecutor, you concluded an investment contract for an 80 square meter apartment located in Ciocana region in Chișinău, and you benefited from a preferential price program intended for prosecutors. You paid $23,000. When you sent the request to be included in the list of the preferential price program candidate, you stated that you were renting an apartment together with your wife. In your answer submitted to the Commission, you stated that between 1985 and 2007, you were living with your parents and their apartment in Durlești region. At the moment of the application to the preferential price program, you were the owner of one half of the shares of the apartment located in Botanica.
Please answer the following question. Is it correct that in 2006 you submitted an application to the General Prosecutor to be included in the list of candidates to get housing for workers of Chișinău prosecutors? I confirm. Is it correct that in your application you wrote, "At the moment I rent a one-room apartment together with my wife"? I said that, yes. In your answers submitted to the Commission, you wrote, quote, "Between 1985 and 2007, I lived together with my parents in the real estate in Durlești. Please explain where you lived in 2006. The question is clear. As seen from the documentation provided by me, until 2013, when I became the owner of the apartment in Ciocana sector, the Postică family, newly formed Postică family, did not have any housing. Regarding the place where Postică family was habitating, I would like to inform the Commission that for a period of time, indeed, my wife and me rented an apartment in Buiucani sector, but that was for a short period of time. It was until 2007, 2008, until 2007, sorry, we stayed in my parents' housing in Durlești. You have the address in the document, which was sold in 2007 by my parents, and then, together with my wife, we moved to another apartment that we rented. So in 2006, where you were living? Part of it we were renting an apartment, part of the time we lived with my parents, with my mother, in Durlești. In 2006, at the time of application, you were owner of half of an apartment in Chișinău, where, according to your statements, neither you nor family used to live in. Is it right? I confirm I didn't live there. Who lives there? That apartment was sold by my parents in 2015. Before that, my father was living in that apartment. Please explain the factual and legal basis for your application for a preferential price apartment that was granted to you. As I mentioned, given that I didn't have real estate, I didn't own a real estate to live together with my wife, I applied. I submitted this application to the Prosecutor General, if I'm not mistaken, given that, well, I joined a program to receive housing at a preferential price for the staff of the prosecutorial bodies. So I filed that application. That very same year, I signed the investment contract with the developer. And in 2013, since this was a long-lasting project, there were some problems regarding registration of the goods, of the property, or that was on behalf of a construction company. And only in 2013, I registered this real estate with the cadastre and became the owner. And that's where we still live with my wife and children. So when did you start living there? In 2013. Would you like to clarify anything about this topic?
La întrebarea dumneavoastră,
Well, with respect to your question, I would like to mention that since 2006 until 2013,
periodic am locuit o
periodically,
perioadă, deci cu părinții,
I was living with my
și
mother,
ulterior am închiriat
and then we
unul sau două spații
rented
locative.
one or two apartments with my wife and children.
Bine, mulțumesc. Tot la
Thank
acest
you.
subiect,
Also, in relation to this topic, let's move on. In 2009, your wife and daughter became the owners of a 32 square meters apartment located in the city center. They obtained this apartment based on a sale purchase agreement, transmission receipt, apartment in private ownership agreement concluded in February 2009 in accordance with the loan privatization of housing. According to your answers to the Commission, this apartment was obtained by Postică family through privatization in 2009, while you were working in the prosecution authority on the basis of Article 38 of the law on prosecution. And Article 38 of the law provides that if the prosecutor does not have a home or needs to improve housing conditions, the local public administration authority is obliged within a maximum of 1 year from his appointment to provide him with housing, apartment or house for work during the period of activity in that locality. Loan privatization of housing fund in Article 5, paragraph 2 provided that service housing so it said that they could not be transferred free of charge into private ownership. You were asked to provide the allocation for service housing and the decision of a local public administration body accepting your application, but you did not present them. Please answer the following question. In 2007 to 2009, you held the position of a prosecutor, correct? Yes. You said that you received this apartment as a service housing, right? Initially, it was assigned as a service or job-related apartment. Yes. Did you apply for service housing while you are holding the position of a prosecutor? Yes, I filed an application with the local authority, Chișinău City Hall. So you attributed the apartment located in the city center, the one we are talking right now. Exactly. How long did this have a status of service housing? If I may, in 2007 or 2006, I don't remember exactly, I submitted this application to City Hall of Chișinău in order to fulfill my right provided by Article 38 of the law on prosecution that was in force at that time. And from Chișinău City Hall, I received a refusal. And they justified, saying that the local authority does not have state-owned housing that could be assigned in line with the provisions of that law, which made me go to court. It was Court of Centru sector in order to oblige the local public authority to assign me housing in line with the provisions of Article 38 of the law. This criminal case, I unfortunately did not keep any of the decisions on it. I did not know that I would need it, but in the archive they still should be stored. Ultimately, I won that case, even in the Supreme, we got until the Supreme Court of Justice, and the next stage was to enforce that decision. And that also I also encountered some trouble during that because the bailiffs could not ensure the enforcement of this decision for the same reasons, lack of housing available. So that in the end, as it was happening to prosecutors, police officers and judges, I identified this apartment on the street that was mentioned as in the documents. And I was included in the housing form, housing file was the ones who live in that apartment, and with that I went to the city hall in order to have this apartment assigned to me. That was in the beginning of year 2008. I got that order of assignment regarding that real estate. And then the status of that apartment, housing apartment, service apartment, sorry, at our request was changed, at our request, and its status changed from service apartment to public housing according to the law of 1993. Based on this changed status, we went to City Hall to ask for privatization of that apartment based on the same article number 5 of the law. It wasn't me who asked for that. I might be your next question, so it wasn't me going with the application to the City Hall because, as you mentioned previously, in 1996, when I was a minor, sorry, I was not a minor, but together with my father, I took part in privatizing the apartment in Botanica sector, that half of the apartment. And given that my wife and my daughter, minor daughter, at that time did not privatize and did not obtain through sale purchase from the state any other real estate property, we decided that they should ask for it so that this apartment would be privatized as at a symbolic price, as most of the real estate apartments were privatized from the state in the 1990s. This took place, as you said, in 2009. I provided a privatization agreement concluded with the City Hall between my wife, Postică Diana, with the Chișinău City Council. Yes, but you did not show the court decision that you say that gave you service housing. You did not provide the document that changed the status of the apartment from a service housing into some other status. This is not there. How do you explain it? Madam Raducanu, I did not keep them. I admit, maybe in this respect I did not make enough effort. I had my reasons as well, I can list them. Actually, with all due respect to the Commission, since September 9th, I believe that the pre-vetting of candidate Postică was over on that date. And I'm not being ironical when I say that, but in the end, I accepted to continue and to be part of this exercise, which for me, actually, again, please don't take it as an offense, but this is just a social experiment for me, made on the judges. But I will give more precise answers. So for this reason, somehow, this thing discouraged me after September the 9th. And I admit some of the documents I just gave up on obtaining them and submitting them to the Commission, even though this thing is easy to check, both in the court archive of Chișinău Court and in the archives of Chișinău City Hall. The application, those assignment receipts, also the archive of the housing department where this was enforced and so on. I don't know if I'm clear enough in this respect, but I cannot say any more than that, but I am ready. But speaking of service housing, as you are saying, you got it based on the law on prosecution, for you as a prosecutor.
La momentul alocării
At the time of that
dumneavoastră ați participat la
allocation,
privatizare
you took part in privatization of another apartment.
soția dumneavoastră
That's
a participat
why
la privatizare.
your
Astfel
wife
explicați.
privatized this. Do you explain it like that? Yes. My wife did the privatization because previously she did not take part in any privatization. Moreover, Article 5 states of a law on privatization of housing allows people or families, in case if a family becomes larger, and that the minimum area is not appropriate for the number of family members. That's why we ask for an improvement of living conditions. Yes, but the law privatization states that a family privatized. But were you invited to the privatization committee?
Pentru că dacă spuneți că
Because if you said you did not have a right to take part in the privatization, then it means you did not come or you were not called to come. I will explain. Of course, together with the wife, I went there. Then we received the explanation that I have the right to take part in the privatization as provided for by Article 5. Paragraph 4, if citizens participated in the privatization of housing, subsequently they can privatize another housing by paying the price at the commercial rate established by the government as of the date of privatization. So we were given two conditions. It's either me and the wife or only wife and child. So the difference was the commercial price. So if I was to be part of that, we were supposed to pay the commercial price for the privatization. But you are a family. You were a family. Do you think this is legal? I believe that I met these legal requirements, and at least this application was accepted by Chișinău City Hall. I will continue. In 2009, your family privatized this apartment. According to the documents, indeed, only your wife and your daughter were the participants in the privatization. You did not participate in the privatization of the apartment. So please tell us in this respect. You were married to your wife since 2005, correct? Yes, exactly. So it was only your wife and daughter who took part in privatization? Yes, so wife and daughter. But when did you have the intentions to privatize this apartment? The intention to privatize started in the end of 2008. Because in October that year my daughter was born, and then we decided to legalize somehow this real estate for us as a property owned by our family and to start privatization procedures that lasted until the beginning of 2009, including that change in the status of the housing and then request for purchasing it from the city hall. Do you believe it is ethical as a judge that contrary to the law it was only your wife and daughter who took part in the privatization, which is against the law on privatization? No, in my view, I did not commit any illegality. I benefited of a legal provision. Well, I did not only benefit, I also made an effort, even though the state was obliged to do that from my first years of work in the prosecutor's office. This happened only by me obtaining this right with difficulties going through courts in 2008, which is after 8 years of work as a prosecutor. Okay, let's move to another topic. In February 2010, you were still a prosecutor. February 2010, yes. You became the owner of a land plot located in Durlești. This land plot was allocated to you free of charge through the decision of Durlești Council in 2009. According to your explanation submitted to the Commission, you received this land plot based on provisions of Article 11 of the Land Code that was enforced at that time. Article 11 at that time provided that local public administration authorities assign land plots to citizens free of charge issuing them property titles assigned to newly formed families, land plots from the inner village reserved for building of houses, or buildings and gardens. Less than 3 months after receiving this authentication title, you sold it for 8,000 euros. In the first round of questions, the Commission asked you to provide relevant documents that represented the basis for you receiving this land plot, your application to City Hall, the decision. You sent an answer from the Public Services Agency that stated that the documents should be requested from the Municipal Archive Service. And that's it. So please answer. In 2010, where you were allocated free of charge at land plot in Durlești, correct? Yes, I confirm. But by 2010, you have already benefited from preferential price program and privatization of an apartment, right? Right. When you sent this application, you made reference to Article 11 of the Land Code in force at that time, correct? Exactly. Did you notify the Council that you have already benefited from a preferential price program, service housing, and privatization of an apartment? I am not sure I expressly mentioned that or that I informed the Durlești Council. So is it a yes or a no? I did not mention that in the application, because the applications were provided in 2-3 rounds. Since 2005, when we got married, we constantly were providing. I think it's 2 or 3 applications that we filed with the Council of Durlești to get a land plot. These applications were submitted at the time when I had no certainty that I was going to get service housing from the state. There was no certainty until 2006 that I was going to get a preferential price apartment. And for these reasons, I filed that application with the local council. In 2010, that land plot was identified and we got that authentication title. How you didn't have certainty? Because in 2008 you already had service housing, and in 2000 you... sorry, but the land plot is 2010. I'm speaking about the applications that we filed with the local council. They were in 2005 until 2006. So from the moment when we were married, we immediately submitted this application to the City Hall, but he's at Chișinău. And we waited to get this land plot, and so there was this suggestion to give us this land plot. We obtained the land plot, again benefiting of Article 11 of the Land Code. And indeed, in probably 3 or 4 months, indeed, our family sold this land plot. Even though initially we planned to build something on that land plot, but we gave up for the following reason. In 2010, the block of flats where our apartment that we live today was already being built, and we sold the land plot in order to be able to finish the repairs in the apartment. At the time of receiving the land plot, you already had. Then why didn't you refuse to that land plot, and then you sold it? Because you got it for free and then you sold it for 8,000 euros. That's the problem. How do you explain that? I explain it based on provisions of Article 11 of the Land Code. I don't have any other explanation, because I thought that that was a right, a guarantee that the state provides to me as to a civil servant. But the state already has given you an apartment in the center of Chișinău as guarantee. That was state guarantee. Madam Raducanu, the apartment in the center of Chișinău. Well, I should better brought some pictures of what that apartment is. Well, calling it center of Chișinău, it's a lot to call for that apartment. That apartment needed a lot of investment, and until today we did not live in that apartment because, as mentioned, part of the apartment was being
unei tranzacții de schimb
alienated based on a exchange transaction with an entrepreneur, again for improvement of living conditions. In the meanwhile, we had 2 other children being born,
corespunzător
and
am decis
we decided
să
that
îmbunătățim aceste
we
condiții
need to improve these conditions by
a unei părți din apartamentul din centru,
alienating a part of that apartment in center,
ca ulterior să
so that we could start
Durlești.
the construction of houses in Durlești. Do you think it is ethical that you benefited of an apartment at preferential price in 2006, then service housing in 2007 that was privatized in 2009, and then allocation of free land plot from the state in 2010? All these properties all together, do you think it is ethical for you to obtain all of them?
Eu în felul următor o să răspund
I will
la această
answer
întrebare.
this question in the following way.
Stimați membri ai Comisiei,
Esteemed members of the Commission,
din anul 2000 până în
since
anul
2000 until
2011,
2011,
eu am activat în
I
următorul procuraturii.
worked for the prosecutor's office.
Deci am decis
I decided
să mă angajez, să mă
to
dedic
get employed, to
serviciului
dedicate myself to public
în
service,
special să mă dedic
especially
activității de procuror.
to prosecutor's
din start
activity,
că
knowing from the very
este o
beginning
activitate foarte
that this
complicată,
is a very
puțin
complicated
remunerată.
and poorly paid job.
Aproximativ, dacă nu mai țin
And
minte
I
exact,
don't
2009-2010,
remember
salariile
exactly. Somewhere in
procurorilor
2009,
erau
2010,
destul de
prosecutor's salaries were
neesențiale sau
quite
pot să spun chiar
insignificant
mizerii.
or
Nu o să mă
like
rușinez de acest lucru.
actually
Deci, faptul că
miserable,
legea
like I
îmi
say.
permitea
And the fact that the law allowed me,
apartament de serviciu,
upon employment, to get service housing,
legea îmi oferea
The
un
law
beneficiu ca în cazul
offered
formării unei
me
familii noi
the
să
benefit
obțin
that in
teren
case
de
of
la stat,
forming a new
cumva
family,
m-a
I could
încurajat
get a
și m-a
land plot
motivat
from
să
the
merg
state
și
that
să fiu
encouraged
angajat în
me
serviciul public.
to get employed in
Pe de
the
altfel,
public service.
Dacă nu
Otherwise,
aveam aceste certitudini,
without these certainties,
puțin probabil că aveam să mă
it was very
angajez și
unlikely
probabil
for
mergeam
me
în
to get
serviciul
employed there,
privat.
and probably I would
Poate
have
mă făceam un jurist
moved to the private
în
sector, and
o
maybe I could
organizație
become
non-guvernamentală.
a lawyer for working for an NGO.
Aveam mai mare succes.
And then I would
Doamna Hriptievski,
have had
probabil
more
să aibă
success. And Madam Hriptievski probably has something to reply here.
Nu am replică, am o întrebare.
I don't have any replies. I want to ask a question. Okay. Before that reply,
Postică, vă salut.
Și eu vă salut.
good afternoon, Mr. Postică. Good afternoon, Mr. Viron.
Probabil a fost o
No, probably
greșeală de exprimare, dar
maybe
ați
that
spus
was
că
a
în vederea
way of speech, mistake of speech, but
solicitării acestui teren care
so
v-ați ați înaintat mai
in order to
multe
obtain
cereri
this
în adresa
land plot, you
administrației
submitted
Chișinău,
several
fiind
applications to the local
menționată
authorities,
Primăria Chișinău.
and you said Chișinău City Hall.
Nu știu dacă am menționat
If I said Chișinău, then I was mistaken. It was Durlești City Hall. I wanted to make sure that I clarified that. Thank you.
Vreau doar să vă întreb, domnul
I just
Postică,
want to
dacă
ask you, Mr. Postică,
știți cumva cam
if you
așa,
know,
procentual vorbind, cam
percentage-wise,
procurori din
how
sistem
many
au
prosecutors
beneficiat
of the system benefited
apartamente de
of
locuință și de terenuri gratuite din
of apartments and free of charge land plots from the state? Do you have any idea? How many of your colleagues? I did not carry out a study in this respect, Madam Hriptievski, but I believe at least until 2000,
o mare parte,
a large share, a significant share of both prosecutors and judges benefited
legal
perfectly legally
de
of
imobile,
both real
mă refer la
estates, I mean
apartamente,
apartments,
cât și de terenuri
and
pentru construcția
land
caselor
plots
de
for
locuit.
construction of
Acest
houses.
lucru este un
This
evident,
is
nu este un secret,
obvious,
și
this
nu
is
este o
not a
chestiune
secret,
ilegală.
this is not illegal.
Nu știu de ce Comisia
I don't
pune
know why
la
the
îndoială
Commission
etica
doubts the
candidatului la acest
ethics
capitol,
of the
dar eu
candidate in
consider
this
că
respect, but I believe
nu am obținut
that I
ceva
did not
ilegal.
acquire
Nu am obținut
anything
prin abuz,
illegally. I did
nu
not
am,
obtain it by any
beneficiat
abuse. I
din
did not
anumite șiretliuri
benefit
sau,
through some
anumite
cons or
de
false
aceste imobile.
things.
Am făcut niște demersuri perfect
I
legale,
made perfectly
care
legal
mi-au fost
requests
acceptate
that were
scurt, așa cum am
accepted
menționat,
hardly, as I mentioned,
în special acest apartament.
especially this apartment.
Dar și terenul, la
But
fel,
also
am
the
obținut
land
dacă
plot
în anul
too.
2005,
You can imagine.
2006
So
m-am adresat la
we
primărie, l-am
asked
obținut
the city
abia
hall
în
about it in 2005,
2010.
2006, and we got it only in 2010.
Cum se vede, am mai
And
continuat să
you can see that I
am
continue to
beneficiat
work. It's not
de
just like
apartamentul
I got
2008
the
și am
apartment in
fost organul
2008 and I
procuraturii.
left
Am
the
continuat
prosecutors.
să
No,
mă
I
dedic
continued to work for this job. Moreover, in 2011, I continued to work in the public service, being appointed a judge. And again, esteemed commission members, you may notice that since 2011, when I started to work in this position, currently I am suspended. It's the 4th month now of my suspension. You can notice that I have not benefited of any privilege, whether property-wise, real estate, housing, or of any other nature, any other kind. So the only thing I acquired is a criminal case 3 months ago. Otherwise, this job did not give me any added value, except the fact that, well, I developed as a professional, and I can only be proud of that. However, regretfully, I was discouraged. I don't want this to be perceived as a comment towards the Commission, because I don't think that Commission has anything to do with it. But regretfully, there are other people, and I'm very direct about it, who are interested just to show me where I belong, like some people, so that I would not be part of self-administration of a judiciary, but generally kind of pretending that I should not be even in the judiciary at all. It's sad that such things happen. It's sad, regretful that in this way judges are being discouraged, and based on my own example, this is not what I feel, it's what I see, what I hear today. The judges just keep silent and are absolutely discouraged, and they are frightened of what can happen to them, because on Tuesday at the SCM meeting there will be notification.
Mr. Postică, let's focus on what the Commission wants to talk to you, because, no, I just answered to some questions about the ethical aspect. I would like just to bring clarity. We have some rules, and let me make just a clarification question. You have the documents about what the Commission asked you in the second round of questions about the flats that we discussed today, but you did not present because of that reason that you do not trust the Secretariat. Yes, it's true. I prepared. I don't know all the details, but all the questions that we asked today, do they have any connection with the criminal case? I don't know why you don't have details, because I constantly was in contact with the Secretariat. From what I saw, there is nothing that is related to that criminal case and the situation related to that criminal case. I mean, the question that we are asking you about the real estate, and you ask me, and I will answer because I believe it's important. So first of all, first cause it's the one count is incriminated to me that in 2019-2021 I was including some false statements in my income and real estate, in my declaration, and those goods, those informations were accessed in the same time by the members of the Secretariat. I don't know who the members of the Secretariat are, although I asked the Commission respectfully to tell me, to give me information about who those people are. So they accessed information about income of my wife, Postică Diana, between 2018-2021. And those access of that information was done in the date of... No, but I asked you concretely about these 3 flats, if they are related to that. Madam Hrivtievsky, it's about incomes. No, I asked you specifically about those 3 real estate, so 2 real estate and the land plot. They don't have anything to do with the criminal case. Am I right? Yes, okay, thank you. Okay, let's go to the next subject. So you crossed the border during a few years with a few judges, prosecutors, and we are interested in two of those crossing. In 2014, you crossed the border in Romania with a lawyer, Aureliu Postică, in a Volkswagen that was belonging to one of the past. And the Commission asked you about your relationship with the lawyer Aureliu Postică. And you answered that you are former colleagues from the prosecutor's office, you know each other for more than 10 years, you have normal relationships in the limits of collegial and professional ethics. The Commission asked you about common cases that you had with that lawyer, and you said that you participated in 4 cases in 2019, 2021. In the second case, in May 2018, you crossed the border to Ukraine with another lawyer, Mr. Silvian Mahu, in a Hyundai car. Before working as a lawyer, that person was a prosecutor. He was fired by the Supreme Council of Prosecutors in 2017 for breaching criminal procedural code in the law, according to the law on Public Prosecution Office and Prosecutors Ethics Code. In your answer submitted to the Commission, you explained that you, an ex-prosecutor, are former colleagues from the university, and relationships are normal in the limit of common sense and collegial and professional ethics. You were asked if you had common cases with that prosecutor, lawyer, and you answered that you had one common case. Please answer to the following questions. Can you confirm that you are friends with Aureliu Postică and Silvian Mahu? I want just to make a clarification. I indeed know these two people, but I would not use, dear Madam Raducanu, the word friends. It's not the right word in this context. As I mentioned previously, we were colleagues in the prosecutor's office. Right now, we don't have any friendship relationship. I was colleague with many other lawyers, judges, prosecutors during years. So there is not a single difference between the relationships that I have with other people and them. And I want to make one more clarification in order for you not to have doubts why I crossed the border. And by the way, I didn't cross the border with Mr. Aureliu Postică, but we were a group of people, and Aureliu Postică was just one of them. And it was the same situation with Silvian Mahu. So it's not about us being friends and crossing the border, it's about us being in a group of people. Okay, but that was a single crossing of the border or a few times? From what I remember, it was a single crossing of the border. With Mahu and Postică, yes. And I researched my database of decisions, and I have identified 1 or 2 cases in which we worked together, and maybe 2 or 3 criminal cases that I had with the participation of Mr. Postică and Mr. Mahu. So in total, how many cases you had together with Mr. Postică and Mr. Mahu? Let me check. Just a second. Okay, so I can present officially this information to the Commission. You don't have to present it. I just asked you a question about how many files, how many cases. I don't remember what I answered to the first round, but I have it written here. So how many cases did you examine with his involvement? Just a second. It's not here. Don't rush. Anyways, I have prepared this answer, so I have it somewhere. But from what I understood, 4 or more than 4, I remember another family name, Chiorescu, 326 case. So in the case of Mahu, 2 cases, and for Mr. Pleșca, 4 cases. No, we had one more. We had one more complaint, and it was also a criminal case. I think it's 6 in total. Okay, 6 in total. Yes, I will present you the concrete number. Because I printed it, I know for sure that I have it somewhere, I just have to find it. And yes, I do confirm that for Mahu, 2 cases, and Corneliu Pleșca, meaning Corneliu Pleșca, 6. Yes. 4, then a complaint, then a criminal case. So in total 6. Okay, I note this, 6. Okay, so if you say 6, okay, you don't have to present right now the confirmation. No, but I prepared it. I prepared that information. Anyways, if you confirm now at this stage, we accept your answer. Okay, so you said that you know them from 2003. It means that you were quite close with these people. Madam Raducanu, I know them, but we were colleagues. We were not working in the same prosecutor's office. We were colleagues because we work in the same field, in the judiciary field. We were meeting at different trainings, some cases, some in the Court of Justice, so we were colleagues. Okay, I understood. Don't you believe that you had to abstain from examining cases with those people, with those lawyers? I reflected on this question. I thought about this question from the first round of your questions, and I also asked myself this question. And I came to the following conclusion, at least to myself, as if you, I mean, I don't know how you want to interpret my answer, but this is my conclusion. We live in a small country, and we are just a few prosecutors and lawyers. Many of us, we studied together. And I speak specifically about lawyers, judges, and prosecutors. We are colleagues in the court, working together, some of us involved in police activity. I personally can give you the following answer in this context. In my activity as a prosecutor and as a judge, I was guided by a few principles, not many. First, legality. Second, honesty, professionalism, and goodwill. So I'll start by the goodwill, actually good faith, because I think every person and every specialist should have that. I am ready to answer in front of anyone for any decision that I have taken. I guess you checked the information that I provided. So I don't remember exactly who participated as a lawyer or as a prosecutor in what case, and if the Commission identifies at least one reasonable doubt when it comes to the legality of my decisions, no, but this is not the competence of the Commission. Yes, I understand, Madam Raducanu, but I'm just giving you some reasonings. If you find those, I am ready to resign on Monday, because in all the criminal cases or as an investigative judge, I did my job according to the law. And I have my personal conviction, which is based on the law, that I was doing the right thing. Okay, if I understood you correctly, you believe that you did not have to abstain from those cases? Yes, I believe that I did not have personal connections with those people. So you think impartiality was not an issue? No. For me, it's inadmissible. Okay, but during the cases, the lawyers, they did not make any recusation, no recusation request was made? No, Madam Raducanu. From what I remember, I oftentimes have cases where parties, the involved parties, are former prosecutors, my faculty colleagues. You just identified these two people because I crossed the border with them. But I can bring you a whole list of at least 10 prosecutors or former judges or colleagues from the faculty with whom I was involved in the examination of cases. And this is happening on a daily basis, and not only for Postică judge. It is happening in this country and in our field of activity. And in this case, if we don't have integrity, it means that we should not be appointed as judges. We should not keep our judges' chair. One more question for clarification, Mr. Postică. I accepted your explanation. At least I can talk on my behalf. Tell me, what was your connection in the context of the connection that you have with these people? But if to speak about the problem that we are examining, I would like to understand what was the nature of those travels, at least. Just to, to understand. You left the country with them, with what purpose? But again, respecting the principle of personal data and... No, I don't have secrets. We went with many colleagues. And we were not with one car, we were with a few cars. And if my memory is not mistaken me, it was a group of prosecutors, lawyers and judges on some to visit some places abroad where we would work, where we would have joint football matches. At least in Romania, this is what we did. Okay, for the second case, it's in both cases. Yes, because if you talk to my colleagues, they will tell you exactly the same. Prosecutors, what was it, like a training? No, I just said it was a football game. Because from Romania, they have invited us to participate in just friendly football matches. They are lawyers, judges and prosecutors with our lawyers, judges and prosecutors. Okay. We go to the next subject then. So the facts established by the Commission. In December 2020, you purchased a plot and 45% finished house of 147 square meters in Durlești region. The sellers were your parents-in-law, and you have paid 500,000 lei for both land and construction. Previously, your parents-in-law purchased the plot in August 2019, 6 months before this event, with 200,000 lei. This means that between August 2019 and December 2020, your parents-in-law must have paid for the plot as well as for the construction 45% of the house, according to the tax service state state tax service between 2010 and 2020. None of your parents have registered income, and they did not contract any loans from banking institutions. When asked by the Commission about the source of funds for the expenditures, you confirmed that it was your parents-in-law that paid for the plot and the construction. And you have explained that the source of funds used by them were personal savings from working their whole life and the sale of the apartment located in Buiucani district in Chișinău. You did not contest the fact that parents-in-law did not have registered income. You have annexed the contract of sale purchase of that apartment, and the Commission took notice that according to the agreement, this flat was sold for 24,000 lei.
Vă rog să răspundeți la următoarele întrebări.
Please answer to
În
the following
decembrie 2020
questions.
ați
In
cumpărat
December
dumneavoastră
2020,
terenul
you bought a
casa
plot with
finalizat în
45% finished house
45%
from your
de la
parents-in-law?
dumneavoastră, corect?
Confirm.
Yes, I confirm.
Ați plătit
And
pentru
you
aceasta
paid
500.000
for
de lei
it 500,000 lei, for the plot and for the construction. Yes.
Acest teren și această casă inițial
Was this plot and house originally intended to belong to you? Or
Eu am făcut la acest capitol deja.
I already commented on this. I talked with Madam Hriptevsky. This is related to the criminal case that I'm involved in now. And I was auditioned for that, and I was heard for that, and I can explain you once again. So this land was purchased in 2019. And yes, it was done by the parents of my wife at the price that is indicated there. And I'll speak about step by step about this subject. So indeed, her parents bought this from their savings that they have accumulated. I have received actually a list of documents and information from the commission that was obtained from the tax state authority. And it reflects the incomes of Madame Bujinov during a period of many years, and the amount is quite small. But I have prepared a list of documents for the Commission, and I want to confirm the fact that starting from approximately 2010 till 2019, my father-in-law, so the father of my wife, worked in Italy, in Alghero city, in Sardinia Island, on Sardinia Island. And, you know, we, the young people, we don't keep the documents. But I went home to my parents, and I found all these documents, copies of all the bills, okay, maybe not all, but many bills that were kept for the payment of salary. And only from the calculation that I can present in copy to the committee, at least 40,000 euro were collected by him in the period between 2010 and 2019. And I will present, of course, this to the Commission, just for you to be sure. What I want to say, my parents, from the very beginning, they had the intention to build together, actually to build together with me, to build a house where we would live all together. But regretfully, at the end of last year, my mother-in-law was very sick, and at the beginning of the year, my mother-in-law died. And this determined them to change their mind. Although, at the beginning of the last year, we started the construction of that house. And at the end of the year, in December, we and my wife, when we have decided at the Council of the Family that we are going to be the one finalizing that house, the constructions, we have decided to make this transaction and buy the house. Although we could have made a donation, and I'm very honest here, our parents insisted on donating this house on the name of us, our Postică family. But because of this labeling of the society on the judges, and that's why I actually insisted to make this sales-purchase agreement. Because at that time, we had enough resources to purchase this unfinished construction and to continue the construction for our future house. And we already contracted a credit further that helped us make the construction works. Okay, let's just make a conclusion. This construction was initiated together with the parents, and this 500,000 lei that we paid to the parents is actually our contribution, the contribution of Postică Aurel and Postică Diana.
contribuția familiei Bojinov.
Sorry, the contribution of Bozhinov family, the parents of my wife. And then we continued from our sources. Okay, but how did you negotiate the price? Because they bought this with 200,000. Did you participate in that process, in the negotiation of the price initially? No, I was not involved directly, although I know the details about the negotiation of the price, because the person that sold this house knew, my parents knew us, and they asked us a few times if we are not interested in that land plot and the house. It happened in 2018, and we were not interested at that time, and we didn't have financial possibility to buy that. In 2019, that person, we are speaking about not the official seller, but by the father of the seller. He again contacted us, our family, to suggest to buy that land because he really needed money at that point. And we have negotiated and we came to this amount. Okay, but can you explain what were the financial resources used by your parents-in-law in purchasing this land? Madam Raducanu, from the documents that I present to the Commission, I spoke about those 40,000 euro that my father-in-law made while working in Italy. And this is official. So these are bills made in Italy on the name of your father-in-law, where it is stipulated that he received official salary during a certain period of time in Italy. Yes, from 2010 till 2019. Including the period right before he came home, because my mother-in-law was having big health issues at that time. Okay, let's continue. The declaration for the NIA, you have indicated the 500,000, and in the declaration in 2021, you submitted 600,000 lei for the plot and 2.5 million for the house. When you were asked about the difference in values between the declarations, you explained that you have declared the values after studying the prices of similar plots and houses in the region, plus the improvements and sources invested in the construction of the house. You have mentioned. So please answer to the following question. You have mentioned that you have studied the real estate market in order to assess what value to declare for the plot, and that is why you declared the price of land in 600,000 lei in 2020, 3 times more than the price paid by your parents-in-law. Is that correct? Yes, I confirm this. Didn't it seem odd to you that your parents-in-law paid 400,000 lei less than the price that you yourself assessed? Dear members of the Commission, it is a known fact that the real estate market is evolving. As I mentioned, this land, this plot, was put into selling because the seller was really interested in selling that as fast as possible. And why I have indicated this 600,000 lei afterwards, because I studied the market after a year or two, and in 2 years the prices went up 5 times for some plots. And this is not something that we can control. It's an objective factor. It's the real estate market. It's the capital market increase in the world. I mean, I cannot explain exactly why it was 200 and then it became 600,000. Okay, a real estate company currently sells a plot of land of similar dimensions on the same street as the one purchased by you previously by your parents-in-law, with the amount of 125,000 euro, approximately 2.5 million lei. And that land doesn't have any construction. And you have this page that was printed and showed to you. You have it in front of you. You can confirm that it's the same address as your, as the same street as your house, as your plot? I guess it's on this page here. Yes. Can you confirm? Can you confirm that the total area is 0.06 hectares? No, it's not. It's not our street. It's the Calea Unirii street. It's another street. Yes, but it's right next to it. Actually, it's not right next to it. And in Durlești, there are a lot of streets and, okay, anyways, it's the region, yeah? It's the same region. It's not right next to it. Maybe a few blocks away. Okay, can you confirm that this plot can be sold 125,000 euro without even a construction on it? No, I cannot. I mean, they can sell with as much as they wish if there are people ready to pay such an amount for that. I don't know anything about this. But do you confirm that your parents-in-law paid 10,000 euro for this, meaning 200,000 lei? Yes, I can confirm, and you can ask my father-in-law. He can answer if there is a need for him to answer to your question. It was a price which was negotiated at that time. It was that price on the market. To be honest, I did not analyze that. But didn't you think that it's a weird price? It's so low, 10,000 euro. Madam Raducanu, we, together with my wife, we did not make a deep assessment of the real estate prices in that area. To us, it just seemed that this is a good price to be paid, and we accepted. That was it. But just for you to understand, he didn't put this on sale officially through the real estate agency or through internet. He just came directly to us with this proposal.
When you paid 500,000 lei to your in-laws, did you think that was an appropriate and adequate price? Those 500,000 was parents' investment. So the land plot 200,000 and the 300,000 that parents invested in construction work. So we, in a way, just returned to parents the money they invested, and we continued as full owners. But why 1 year later you declare that it's 3,100,000 as a value? Because I invested this money. Part of the money was invested and another part, we're talking 3 million. Why 1 year later you were showing that amount? You put that the value of a house at that time without involving any valuators. We estimated the value of a house like that. That amount is probably the amount of investment plus capitalization and increased value given the increase of the prices. But what was the amount of investment? Did you invest 3 million in 1 year? No, we didn't invest 3 million. We invested around, so we contracted 1.5 million from a loan. This is reflected and presented. And at the beginning of 2000, we sold an apartment at the price of 1 million. So it's 2.5 million. That's without other legal income sources that my wife and I had, which were reflected in the declaration of assets. So only from selling the what apartment for 1 million? Please specify. Number 74.
Eu am prezentat strada
I
Lev Tolstoi.
Lev Tolstoy
Deci acel
Street.
apartament care
That
noi l-am
apartment that you received as service housing. You sold it. We sold a part of it for 1 million.
Permiteți-mi să explic.
Let me
Deci
explain,
o
please.
parte a acel
Part of
apartament
this
privatizat a
apartment,
fost
privatized
înstrăinat,
apartment, was
constituit obiect
sold.
de tranzacții
Is
de
an
schimb
object of an
cu o
exchange
companie
transaction
imobiliară
with a
care a
real
construit
estate
un nou
agency
bloc.
that
Da.
built.
Și în schimb ne-a fost
And in
acordat
exchange for
un
that,
apartament cu o
we were
cameră.
given a one-room
Într-un bloc nou.
apartment in a
Și acel
new
apartament
building. And
noi,
that apartment,
am făcut o reparație cosmetică și
we
l-am
did some
înstrăinat.
cosmetic
Am început anul
repairs,
2020
easy
cu
repairs,
suma
and
de
sold it in the
4
beginning of
milioane de lei.
2020 for almost 1 million lei. Okay, do you have any other questions?
Anyone else would like to question on this? If not, then let's go on with the next issue. I will now take over. The next issue relates to a loan of 6,000 euros from a close family member of yours. I think you know who we are talking about, but I will not go into the details. So the question is the following, or the issue is the following. In your 2016 asset declaration submitted to the National Integrity Authority, you declared a loan of 6,000 euros received in 2016 at 0% interest rate from this close family member. However, according to the data from the fiscal authorities, this family member only registered a net income of somewhat less than 170,000 euros lei, 170,000 lei for the 5-year period of 2011 to 2015. You informed the Commission that the loan was given to you in cash and that you had not concluded a written loan agreement with this family member, but that you had agreed to pay back the loan in 10 years. You also informed the Commission that you have paid back the loan in the years 2018-2021 from the income that you and your wife had during those years. The loan was meant to improve the living conditions and other expenses of your family. You also informed the Commission that the source of funds of this family member came from the sale of an apartment located in Chișinău. You provided a copy of the sale purchase agreement that had taken place on the 4th of June 2015, according to which the apartment was sold for the price of 28,000 lei, so somewhat less than 11,000 euros. However, it is known to the Commission that this same family member bought another apartment 5 days later on the 9th of June 2015. This apartment was 49.1 square meter and is also situated in Chișinău. You did not provide the Commission with a copy of the investment contract for this last apartment. But according to the official real estate market report, LARA, the market price of 1 square meter of a new apartment located in this part of Chișinău for the year 2015 amounts to around 9,400 lei. Based on this report, the Commission estimates that the contractual price of this apartment that your family member bought 5 days after selling the previous one must have been around 460,000 lei, so roughly about 22,000 euros. So the follow-up questions now I have to you are, the first one is, so in 2016 you took a loan from a close family member of 6,000 euros at 0% interest. Is that correct?
Confirm.
I confirm.
Although you agreed to pay back the loan in 10 years, you've already in the years 2018, 2021 paid back the loan. Is that correct?
Exact.
Exactly.
Confronted with the information about the net income of this family member of the years 2011-2015, you informed the Commission that this family member was able to provide the loan because of the sale of the apartment on 4th June 2015. Is that correct?
Confirm.
I confirm.
And you also provided a copy of the sale purchase contract for this apartment, according to which the apartment was sold for the price of 228,000 lei. Is that correct?
Eu nu țin minte
I don't remember the price in the contract, but I submitted a copy to the Commission.
Okay, thank you. But you did not inform the Commission that this same family member bought another apartment 5 days later, is that correct?
Confirm și am
I
prezentat
confirm,
Comisiei
and
copia
I
acestui contract.
provided a copy of that contract to the
Să o pun la
Commission. I
dispoziție.
will provide it to you.
The Commission has made a calculation according to which the price for this new apartment should have been around 460,000 lei, so about 22,000 euros. So that is almost double the price of the apartment that was sold a few days ago. What is your comment about that?
Da, mulțumesc pentru întrebare.
Thank you for your question.
Deci eu o să pun la dispoziție
I
Comisiei
will
copia
provide
contractului de
the Commission
investiții,
with a copy of the investment
încheiat
contract
în anul 2015,
concluded in 2015
de către părinții
by
mei,
my parents,
dar vreau să fac o
but I would like to
concretizare,
make
că
a specification.
aceasta a fost o investiție
This
în
was an
2015,
investment
a
in
fost abia încheiat
2015,
acest
so they
contract.
only concluded the
Apartamentul
contract in
a
2015.
fost înregistrat cu drept
The
de
apartment
proprietate
was
abia în
registered in
anul
their name only in
2019, adică
2019,
până în anul 2019,
meaning that until
părinții
2019
mei
my
au achitat
parents
în mai
were
multe rate
paying in installments
acest apartament,
for that apartment.
deși cu părere de rău,
Even though,
acest
unfortunately,
apartament urma să fie
that apartment
dat în exploatare cu
was
mult mai
supposed to
devreme,
be put into operation
dar
much
părinții au
earlier,
fost nevoiți și au
but
stat și la
my
noi, împreună cu
parents
noi,
had to
perioadă
stay
bună.
with us for quite a long period of time.
Într-un final, în 2019,
Ultimately, in
părinții au
2019,
obținut acest
my parents
apartament.
got that apartment.
Presupun că tot în 2019 a fost achitat
I
integral,
think
dar
in
nu am
2019
intrat în
they
detalii.
finished the entire
Cred că
payment,
logic
but I
așa
did not
trebuie
get
să se întâmple.
details. So logically, that was supposed to happen.
Referitor la
With respect to
acest contract,
this contract,
vă aduc la cunoștință
I would like to inform you,
potrivit contractului care este
according
prețul.
the price
Ca să
according
nu
to the
fie
contract,
chestii
to
de interpretare
not to
sau
leave room for
aproximative.
interpretation or
Deci prețul este
approximation.
de
The
550.000
price was
euro
550
metru pătrat,
euros
da?
per square meter.
Chiar un pic mai mult
That's
decât
even
ați
more than
calculat dumneavoastră.
than in your calculation.
Da.
Yes.
Explicația mea,
And my explanation
următoarea.
is the following.
deși vă spun sincer,
And well,
acest
honestly,
aspect nici nu l-am discutat cu
I
noastră,
never discussed
vă
this
spun
with
așa,
my mother,
cu mâna pe inimă,
and
dar poate
I
chiar
state
nici
that
nu a
very
fost
truthfully, but
chestia mea
maybe
să o întreb,
it was not my place to
fiindcă
ask her about it,
mama
because
mea,
my mother,
pe lângă faptul că a muncit împreună cu
besides
tatăl
working with
toată
my
viața și au
father
avut și
all their
anumite
lives
economii,
and
deși părinții
having
mei
some
nu au
savings,
muncit peste hotare,
even though my parents
dar
were not
acest
working
apartament
abroad, but this
care a fost
apartment
înstrăinat
that was sold
puțin timp până încheia acest contract de
just
investiție,
a bit earlier before
a
this
fost înstrăinat la
investment contract,
228.000
yeah,
de
that was sold for 228,000, if I'm not mistaken.
Eu nu știu sigur
I
dacă
don't
acesta
know
a
for
fost un
sure
preț
if
real
that
al
was the
tranzacției.
real price of the
Și
transaction.
chiar nu am discutat cu
And
maică,
I did not discuss with my mother
fiindcă nu mă privește.
because
Sunt chestiile
this
părinților, cât au vândut și cât au procurat.
it's not my business.
privește doar pe părinți.
It's only up to my parents. I mean, for how much they sold,
mai
for
mult,
how
eu
much
vă
they
spun
purchased.
că-
Moreover, I can tell you,
Poate o să pară un pic ridicol,
maybe that will sound ridiculous, but
eu și acum pot să
Even
apelez la maică
now
mea
I can
după ajutor financiar.
ask my mother for
Mai ales în
financial
context,
help,
după
especially
9 septembrie nu
since
suntem
September
remunerați.
when I'm not getting
și vă spun
any
iarăși,
salary.
fără doză
And
de
I'm saying that
glumă sau,
without any jokes.
Nu văd absolut
I
nimic
don't
ieșit din comun.
see
faptul
anything
că
extraordinary in the fact
a
that
avut posibilitatea
my
după
mother had the
înstrăinarea
possibility after selling that
apartamentului
apartment
să mă ajute
to
atât
help
familia noastră financiar.
our
Este un
family.
lucru firesc. când
This
are-
is
au
a
posibilitatea
natural
părinții ne
thing.
ajută
When
pe noi.
parents have a possibility, they
suntem
help
noi,
us.
ok,
When
ajutăm
we are
părinții.
okay, we
Așa
help
e
our parents.
ok să fie în viață,
This
așa
is
e
how
normal,
things should be
firesc.
in life. This is normal and natural, for the natural order of things.
And can you inform us then because you were saying that between 2015, when the apartment was contracted, and its finalization in, what was it, 2018 or 2019, the family member paid in installments. What were the installments paid? When did it get started, and how much was it in particular in 2015 when, of course, the family member sold the other apartment?
Cu părere de rău,
Unfortunately, I did not ask my parents. I don't know this. This information is not known to me. But I know that regularly, until the end of the year, my parents were constantly paying, maybe with some delays. I don't want this to be interpreted, my answer to be interpreted. I just don't have information about this.
But I think that if I make the calculations based on the price that you indicated of 550 euros per square meter, then the price of the apartment must have been around at least 25,000 euros, so indeed more than the Commission has calculated. And so I would assume that the installment in that very first year would at least have been quite considerable and probably close to the selling price of the apartment. Would that not be a correct assumption?
Again, talking about assumptions and what you suppose now, Chairperson, I could also make a supposition now that the price of the apartment sold by my parents was one that was maybe even higher than 30,000 euros. That's a reasonable supposition of mine.
That only adds up the price per installment, I would say, but okay. Then can you explain, because at least a serious installment should have been paid, how can you explain how this family member was still able to give you a loan of 6,000 euros? The income of the previous 5 years was about 10,000 euros, or less than 10,000 euros. So this loan was about 6,000 euros. And if we add up the different figures, then I think it will be difficult to still see how a loan of 6,000 euros could have been given to you.
I understand the question. Well, mathematically speaking, in numbers, if my parents, let's suppose, and it's a very reasonable supposition, sold the apartment from Botanica at a price that was higher than 30,000 euros, then my parents certainly had the possibility to help us financially for a short period until concluding the investment contract, until the end of the investment contract in 2019. And given that we reimbursed the loan until 2018, it means that my parents until 2019 were okay to pay for that apartment the 27,000 euros as it says in the contract.
Any other questions? Yeah, Resta?
Haideți să clarificăm. Let's clarify. You now say that the price of the apartment sold by your parents is not real. I can only suppose that. This is not a secret, again. This is how things happened and keep happening. But I did not ask my parents. I can only suppose how, you know, the land plot of 125,000 in Durlești evaluated. With the same approximation, I can evaluate the apartment in Botanica that was sold by my parents. So I think around 30,000 euros. Why do you think only... Was it 24,000? Something like that? No. Pardon, it was 10,000 euros, 228,000. I cannot explain. I did not discuss with my parents about this, and I'm really not interested in this. Thank you.
But you gave the information about the selling of the apartment for the price of, let's say, 10,900 euros. As you know, in providing information to the Commission, information has to be correct. If we're now being confronted with information that is completely different and coming up with prices which are nearly 3 times higher than the prices you indicated, that doesn't come across as a correct piece of information to the Commission. What do you think?
Dacă eu nu greșesc, domn președinte,
If I'm
nu
not
am
mistaken,
indicat
Chairperson,
prețul,
I did not
doar am
mention the
prezentat
price.
cod de
I only
contract.
provided you a
Eu
copy of the
mă tem să mă
contract.
înșel, dar
I
eu
am
scris în
afraid
declarație, nu cred
that
că
to be
am
mistaken, but I
prețul.
don't think I
Finanțării
mentioned in the
apartamentul decât
statement the
părinții mei.
price for which my
Pentru că
parents sold the
prețul real
apartment,
nici nu puteam
because
să-l
the actual
indic în
price I
declarație,
could not
deoarece m-am
declare it,
întrebat
because I
părinții.
never asked my parents
Și m-am
about it,
bazat strict
and
pe
I relied
datele
strictly on
incluse în contractul de
data from
vânzare-cumpărare.
the sales contract.
Anyone else, any comment on this? Okay, then let's move on to the next topic that has to do with the beneficial ownership of two companies by your wife. And I take it that this is also, we are aware of the fact that this is also part of the criminal investigation. If you do feel that you should not answer those questions, then of course we do understand, but you have been providing information and comments before. Let me start off by the introduction to this issue. So the situation is the following. Your wife is the founder and beneficial owner of two companies. The first company is called DB Express Account and was founded on 23 April 2018. Your wife holds the position of founder, administrator and accountant of this company. According to the information provided by you, the company provides the following services: accounting, financial audit activities and consultancy in the field of taxation. The second company is called Dilexcont and was founded on 5 March 2021. According to your information, this company provides the following services: legal activities, accounting and financial audit activities, other forms of education and translation activities. The Commission has identified a number of inconsistencies in your declaration of the income of your wife to the National Integrity Authority, the information from the tax authorities about her personal income, and information from the National Bureau of Statistics in relation to the net profit of these two companies. In response to written questions from the Commission, you indicated that due to some cancellations of invoices, reports for DB Express account for the years 2019 and 2021 have been corrected. Based on your information, the Commission has developed a number of figures to share with you, and I think we have shared the document with the chart of those figures with you, and we would like to seek your feedback and explanations on these figures. So, for 2018, you declared an income for your wife with the NIA of 100,000 lei, but according to information from the tax authorities, there was no personal income of your wife for that year. In that year, the net profit of the company, DB Express account, according to the National Bureau of Statistics, was 91,700 lei. So the net profit of the company was lower than the income you declared your wife was able to take from this company to NIA. For 2019, you declared an income for your wife with NIA of 534,045 lei, but here again, no personal income of your wife was registered by the tax authorities. In that year, the net profit of the company, DB Express account, was 380,900 lei. So again, the net profit of the company was lower, around 150,000 lei, than the income you declared your wife was able to take from this company. For 2020, you declared an income for your wife with NIA of 926,643 lei. In that year, however, the tax authorities registered a personal income of your wife of just under 470,000 lei, so about half of what you declared to NIA. In that year, the net profit of the company, again DB Express account, was 783,000 lei. So again, the net profit of the company was lower, around 150,000 lei, than the income you declared your wife was able to take from this company. For 2021, you declared the to NIA income of your wife for two companies, for DB Express account and for Dilexcont. And as we said, that was the latter company was established in March of that year. In relation to DB Express account, you declared an income for your wife to NIA of 578,000 lei. The personal income of your wife in relation to this company, according to the tax authorities, amounted to 590,000 lei. In that year, the net profit of the company amounted to 472,000 lei. So again, the net profit of the company was lower, about 100,000 lei, than the income you declared your wife was able to take from this company. In relation to Dilexcont, you declared an income for your wife with NIA of 725,500 lei, but the personal income of your wife in relation to this company, and according to the tax authorities, amounted to 0 lei. The net profit of the company, this Dilexcont, amounted to 703,000 lei. In this case, the net profit was only slightly lower than the income you declared your wife was able to take from this company. If all these figures are put together, then the following picture emerges from the declared income of your wife towards NIA, the personal income of your wife according to the tax authorities, and the net profit of the companies which have been established and run by your wife during the years 2018 to 2021. In those 4 years, you declared to NIA that your wife had an income of 2,864,000 lei. In these 4 years, according to the tax authorities, the personal income of your wife amounted to just over 1 million lei. And according to the information from the National Bureau of Statistics, the net profit of the two companies in total together amounted to 2.4 million lei. On 11 November, the Commission asked you again to clarify these issues. The Commission asked you to explain how your wife was able to obtain from her companies an income which was higher than the net profit of these companies. The Commission also asked you to explain how your wife would have obtained her income, either as salary, dividends, loan from the companies that she is running. However, you have not been able, or you have not been providing information to the Commission. So here we have a list of questions to you. The first one is the following. Your wife is the founder and beneficial owner of DB Express account, founded on 23 April 2018, and Dilexcont, founded on 5 March 2021. Is that correct?
Da.
Yes.
These companies provide services relating to accounting, financial audit activities, consultancy in the field of taxation, and legal services. Is that correct?
Corect.
Correct.
In the course of 2018 to 2021, you submitted asset declarations to NIA in which you also reflected the income of your wife in relation to her activities relating to these two companies. Is that correct?
Da.
Yes.
In the course of 2018 to 2021, the tax authorities established the personal income of your wife emanating from her activities relating to these two companies. Is that also correct?
Probabil, da.
Probably
Sunt
so.
reflectate
All data are
oficiale.
reflected, they are official.
Okay. And in the course of 2018 to 2021, the two companies also submitted information to the National Bureau of Statistics on the basis of what the net profit of the two companies could be established. That is also correct?
Presupun că da.
I suppose so.
Este un
My
contabil exemplar.
wife is an exemplary accountant, and this is what she's supposed to do according to the law, to send data to the State Tax Service and to the National Bureau of Statistics.
Yeah. Can you confirm that you submitted the figures mentioned in the first column above to NIA over those 4 years?
Tot ce este reflectat în
Everything that is
Da,
reflected
eu
in
am
the
subsemnat.
declaration, yes, I undersigned for
Exact
that,
așa cum este indicat.
as it is mentioned.
And can you confirm that the tax authorities established the personal income of your wife to be what is reflected in the second column of the chart?
Nu cred că pot să confirm acest
I
lucru,
don't think I can
deoarece
confirm that
am făcut și o
because
cunoștință cu
I
aceste informații
took a look
la
at this
fiscal,
information from the tax
mai întâi în cadrul
authority,
urmăririi penale
first during the criminal
și
investigation
deja acum recent
and
din
now
materialele
recently
care mi-a
from the
prezentat
materials
Comisia.
that the Commission submitted to me.
Sincer,
Honestly,
eu cu contabilitatea
I am
stau așa un pic mai prost.
not so
trebuie
good
să
with
recunosc.
accounting, I have
De
to
aceea
admit
toate
that.
datele,
Therefore, all
care eu
data
le-am reflectat în
that I
declarații,
reflected in the
datele ce țin
declaration
de la capitolul veniturilor
about the
soției,
income of my wife,
le-am reflectat
I
din
wrote
explicații,
that
din cele comunicate
based
de către
on what
soție.
my wife told me.
Asta e. Nu am
I did not
consultat
consult
site-ul Biroului
the
Național de Statistică
website
sau
of the National Bureau of
poate mai mult m-am
Statistics,
solicitat
and
informații de la
even more so, I did not ask for information
Domnului,
from
noi
tax
suntem în
authority.
relații bune cu soția mea și
Thanks
le-am
God, we are in a good
informații
relationship
la
with my
solicitare
wife, and she
verbală.
provides me verbal information when I ask so.
Yeah. And so can you also confirm that the figures mentioned in the third column were those which are submitted to the National Bureau of Statistics?
Confirm?
I confirm.
Can you confirm that there is a considerable discrepancy between the figures about the income of your wife submitted to NIA and the figures about the personal income of your wife as established by the tax authorities?
Deci dacă sunt anumite
If
discrepanțe,
there are
așa cum
discrepancies,
a constatat Comisia,
as the Commission found,
în mod sincron a constatat și organul de urmărire
that
penală.
criminal
în acest perioadă.
investigation body did that
Eu
at the same time,
explicații detaliate am făcut,
I
organului de urmărire
provided
penală
detailed explanation
și
to the
fac
criminal
explicațiile de
investigation
rigoare
body, and
și
I
estimaților
will
membrii ai Comisiei.
provide the explanation to
Eu o să mă
esteemed
refer
Commission members.
probabil la
I
toți
will
acești ani, 18,
speak of all
19,
these
20,
years,
21,
18, 19, 20, and
de
21,
fapt cum au fost
and how
datele la
data were
capitolul
reflected in
venituri
terms of
soției.
wife's income.
Deci, la întocmirea
When
declarațiilor pentru
drafting
anii,
the declarations
evident
towards
că am
NIA,
întrebat
of
soția,
course I asked my
care
wife,
sunt cifrele
what are the numbers
anuale
your
ale
annual
veniturilor întreprinderilor,
income of
întreprinderii mai întâi,
a
că
company?
Dilexcont a
First,
venit deja în
first
2000.
company, because Dilexcont was established in 2021,
remarcat și
as you
dumneavoastră.
have well mentioned.
Deci, cifrele
The numbers
declarațiile de
in
avere și
the
interese
declaration of
personale
assets and
ale
personal interests
mele
of
au fost reflectate
mine were
reieșind din cifra
written
de
based
afaceri
on the turnover
întreprinderii.
of the company.
De ce discrepanța?
That's why
asta
the
e un
discrepancy,
moment. Al
that's
doilea
one thing.
moment,
Secondly,
aici probabil că este o omisiune că
there is
aceste
probably an
cifre
omission.
a mea,
These, my omission, I
că
mean,
aceste cifre nu au
these
fost indicate la
figures were
capitolul
not
veniturilor
written
întreprinderii
under
administrate de soție, dar le-am indicat la
income
capitolul
of the
veniturilor
company
soției.
run by my wife, but I put them in the column of my wife's income. Maybe
a scos
that's
în evidență,
my omission that was
organul de urmărire penală.
found by the
Deși-
criminal investigation
deși eu
body,
am,
even though
pregătit pentru,
I prepared
comisie
for the
atât
commission
formularele actualizate
both updated
de
forms
evidență
for
privind la veniturile persoane fizice,
about the
Postică Diana,
income
anii
of
18,
individual
21,
Postică Diana for
am
years
pregătit așa un
2018-2021,
tabel
and I
în
prepared an
în
Excel
care sunt reflectate
spreadsheet
toate
that reflects all
veniturile, mai
the
exact profiturile
income,
nete
sorry, the
ale
net
familiei
profit, to
Postică.
be exact, of
Și,
Postică family. And
pot să explic
I can
următoarele
explain the following thing.
chestiuni. Dacă și sunt careva divergențe,
Even
divergența,
if there are discrepancies,
una este că au fost reflectate veniturile, nu
one is,
profiturile,
I
și
talked
că,
about
au
income, not
fost indicate
profits,
cifrele
and that the
sau aceste
numbers
venituri
of
au
his
fost reflectate
income
nu la
was
capitolul,
reflected not in
ce
the
propriu-zis a obținut soția
section
în
of what
calitate
my
de
wife
dividende și
earned as
salarii,
dividends and
dar au fost
salaries,
obținute
but
veniturile întreprinderilor
that was about
gestionate de către
income revenues of the
soție.
companies managed
Deși,
by my wife.
într-un final,
Even though
nu
ultimately
sunt niște date eronate,
these
sunt
are not
niște,
erroneous data,
mijloace financiare
these are financial
obținute
assets
și ca într-un final oricum au fost
obtained,
transferate
and
în
in a way
formă
they
de
were
dividende,
transferred as
achitate impozitele de
dividends
rigoare. Cred că
with
acest lucru
appropriately
deja,
paid
l-a
taxes.
verificat și
I think
Comisia
that the Commission
și s-a constatat
may
că
have
s-a ieșit
checked
la
that
cifrele
already,
de peste
and
2
you could
milioane de profit
found
curat al
that
soției
we got to the numbers of
Postică
over
Diana
2
pe perioada
million
acestor 4
pure
ani.
profit of my wife Postică Diana
Inclusiv,
for these 4 years.
doar de
Pardon.
la aceste
Only
două entități
from
juridice
these
care le
two
administrează.
legal
Comisia
entities that she administers, because besides these two companies, my wife also has a teaching and scientific activity, and during all these 4 years, well, I submitted a lot of documents to the criminal investigation body, and at least in numbers, I prepared for the commission as well, so that the commission could understand where did this discrepancy come from and what's the reason. I mean, mostly why this discrepancy happened.
So this discrepancy is determined by an incorrect reflection from a chapter to another, but generally the amounts of the incomes that I have provided as a person who declared the income based on the law 132, I have indicated, taking into account the things that I mentioned, that were mentioned by my wife. And if you search the information on the National Bureau of Statistics webpage, you will see that the amounts are identical with those that are in the official declaration of Postică Aurel.
When you refer to that the amounts are identical, are you then talking about the figures that the company of your wife provided to the National Bureau of Statistics, or your declarations to NIA? Because there are discrepancies between the NIA figures and the National Bureau of Statistics figures.
I have reflected the figures that were given by my wife to me. I don't know what is the final formula of the amounts that reached the National Bureau of Statistics or the tax authority, but my wife is, she knows better. I'm not a tax expert, but from what she told me, the tax declarations can be modified, and meantime, my wife has closed some previous bills. And in the context of the initiation of the criminal code, of the criminal case, so my wife obtained, on my request, some updated information, and yes, it's a different amount here, and I have the obligation to submit my declaration by 31 of May, of March every year, and afterwards they can be modified and it can vary. So at least this is the explanation from the information that my wife gave me.
Okay. Is there anything else you would like to add in relation to this particular issue that we discussed with you?
With all due respect, I would like to tell you once again that I'm very open in front of you, members of Commission, and trust me, if I would not have been ready to be fully honest, I would not participate in this. And about the figures related to my wife's activity, with all my honesty, I can tell you that my wife refused to present to me some figures, to me, not to the Commission, and her explanation was, first explanation was that many economical operators with whom she has commercial activity can be impacted by it, and also it could be leaks of information. Again, this is just a doubt. It's not that I'm saying that this would happen. And the second thing, taking into account everything that happened on the 9th of September and further, my wife is very skeptical when it comes to access to information and evaluation entities and law enforcement entities, and I understand her. And even if you as a commission interpret this as a negative point in my evaluation, I will continue to protect my family and maintain this position. Because, trust me, after 9 of September, the activity of my wife, and I speak about her professional activity, has a lot she suffered a lot. A few economical operators canceled their agreements with my wife. Why? I don't know. Maybe because they are afraid that overnight they will have fiscal controls, taking into account that the husband of Madam Accountant is involved in a criminal case. And let me tell you that I am suspended now, and the material safety of my family depends on the income of my wife, because I am still a teacher, but I have a very small salary. You know that, how it is in our country. And if my wife's commercial activity is impacted in a negative way, I am ready to give up not only on this contest, but also on my function as a public servant. And I'm telling you with full honesty and openness. And it's not an irony. It's not, I'm not making a joke. Thank you for understanding me. I hope I was explicit enough. Please clarify. I didn't really understand where this discrepancy comes from. So you declared more as an income of your wife compared to what was established. Why not less? Why more? From where this discrepancy comes? From the analysis that we further made, the discrepancy was because of the fact that the gross income was reflected based on the bills, but the incomes of my wife are generated by the dividends of the enterprises and the salary that she has from all the enterprises. So if you take off the taxes and other payments, the profits are smaller when it comes to individuals. But I mean, think about my reason to hide some income, because you can see the figures from 2018 till now. My family has increased incomes. Maybe these are not the highest, but never. Yes, but this is at the state tax authority, it's zero. Dear Madam Raducanu, why this happened? Dear Madam Raducanu, I'm gonna present the information for 2018. And in 2018, the income of my wife is zero only for that year. Why? Because, no, actually in 2019 it's also, no, in 2019 from the salary it is 24,000, and from dividends 370,000 lei. I will annex this information. And in 2020 the income from the salary of my wife Postică Diana was 47,000, and from dividends 623,000, and this is from the tax state authority from September 22. And for 2021, the incomes of Madam Postică from the salary 49.5 thousand, from dividends 581,170 thousand lei, and from LTD, the company is 572. So all these figures, they cannot correspond to what it was included in the declaration, because it was adjusted by my wife based on the fiscal code, tax code. I don't remember what article specifically, but this can be checked. I hope I was explicit enough in this.
Yeah, I do see indeed that the figures that you present now are at times indeed also different from the figures that we have. And indeed, as my colleague also said, both in 2018 and 2019, the tax on the personal income, the information that we have received is in both years is zero. So your figures are different, and I think in this case it would be good probably indeed to share that information electronically later with us, and then we can see to what extent we would like to make reference to that. Are there any questions?
Dacă îmi permiteți, domnul președinte.
If you allow me, Mr. Chairman, in this context, in the first round of these questions, I received this question from the Commission, but taking into account that only on the 9th of September I have sent you these answers, this information was received by me from my wife on 16th of September, and that's why you didn't have that information previously. I am ready to present this to the Commission today.
Then let's move on to the next issue, and that is also for the Commission the last issue, and that relates to what we call the inexplicable wealth for the years 2015, 2017 and 2019. So the issue is the following, the Commission makes an analysis of all incoming and outgoing flows of resources per calendar year in relation to the different candidates. This analysis is based on the information the Commission receives from a candidate, him or herself, and from all relevant authorities. According to information available to the Commission, in your case, the Commission has identified 7 years in the period 2007 to 2021, in which your expenditures per year seem to have exceeded your income for that very same year. For the years 2015 and for the years 2015 to 2017, so for those 3 years, you had a total difference of income and expenditures of 350,929 lei. So these were 351,000 lei more than your income. For the year 2019, you had a difference of income and expenditures of over 108,000 lei. In the hearing today, the Commission will focus on those 3 years, 2015, 2017 and 2019. These are the years in which the difference of income and expenditures exceed 100,000 lei per year. The Commission has shared with you the charts of income and expenditures for these years in order to facilitate our exchanges, and we have also shared that information with you in the second round of questions. Coming to the year 2015, according to information available to the Commission, in 2015 you had 3 sources of income. Income related to your position as a judge, income from the sale of a car, and income from allowances for the children. In the same year, you had expenditures relating to 6 issues: the purchase of a car, school fees for one of the children, resources relating to an investment fund, reimbursement of part of a loan, and a repayment of a loan to a third person. And the Commission includes in this overview also your consumption expenditures for population for 2015 for your family situation. The amount of declared expenses for 2015 totaled 311,000 lei. The amount of savings available and income for 2015 total 186,000 lei. So your total expenses in 2015 appear therefore to have been exceeded your income and savings by 124,000 lei. As I said, in the second round of questions submitted to you on 11 November, you were asked to inform the Commission whether the information is correct or not, to identify any other sources of funds used in 2015 to pay for your expenses, and to provide any confirming documentation and to explain why your total expenses exceed your income by this amount of over 124,000 lei. As we know, you have not been providing such information to the Commission. So the questions that I have for you in relation to 2015 chart are the following. The figures in this chart are based on the information you provided to the Commission. Is that correct?
La capitolul veniturilor, da.
When it comes
Sunt
to
indicate în
incomes,
declarațiile
yes,
de
they are all in my declarations.
Okay. And so the different figures reflected in the income side of the table presented to you are the correct figures. You just said that. Are the figures presented on the expenses side also the correct figures? And if not, what
La
would be
capitolul,
not correct?
da.
Yeah.
La capitolul
So,
cheltuieli,
when it comes to
vreau să fac
expenses,
niște
I would like to make
explicații,
some
niște
explanation,
obiecții.
some
Deci,
objections.
Așa, achiziționarea
So,
automobilului,
purchase of the car,
da, a
yes.
fost indicat în euro, pare mi se, dacă nu greșesc,
I think I indicated the price in euro, 1,200 euro, and the tax for the school.
informația
Yes.
care a fost prezentată de către
It was
liceu.
an information presented by the
Probabil
school,
corespunde.
so I guess it corresponds.
Rata achitat
The
fondul de investiții
investment
anual,
fund
în jur de
rate,
500 de euro.
approximately 500 euro, yes, it's true.
Rambursarea împrumutului
Reimbursement
manual
of
grafic
the
să calculez, dar
loan
probabil din
to a
graficul
third
care
party.
l-am
I
prezentat comisiei,
didn't actually calculate, but I would not have objections here. The only objection is for the last two points.
ce e legat în primul rând și în special rambursarea
When it comes to reimbursement of the loan taken from the sister of my wife. So we took 4,000 euro, and this happened in 2014, and it is in the declaration for 2014, the official declaration. And in my answers in the first round of questions, I have indicated that our family gave back this money in a period of 1 year, 1 year and a half, approximately. So we took this in 2014, meaning that by 2016 we covered it. We closed it. I don't think this is objective to say that the whole loan was given back in 2015, because I think we have to be specific here. This is my only objection here. I can make additional explanations if needed. When it comes to consumption calculation, I don't think there are objections there. Yes, possible, this was the amount we spent, maybe less, but it's a statistical figure. So I guess we will not start contesting that. It is established by some indicators. So.
Yeah. Okay. But even if we were to take that loan out, the one of roughly 4,000 euros, then if the calculation is still correct, there would still be a negative by which the total of expenses would still be higher by 50,000 compared to the income. How would that work?
My guess is that the mathematical difference is approximately 40,000 lei. I am not ready to explain because I don't remember. It was in 2015. And I actually reflected in my declaration of income and my assets. So yeah, it could be 40,000 lei. I don't know how to explain to the Commission, and I'm just being honest now. From the mathematical point of view, I see that this amount is not covered, this difference. I see it. Although our family, we are helped a lot by other members of the family, my parents, my wife's parents.
ține de coșul de consum.
So when it comes to the consumption per person, I don't want to, get too attached to this amount, but the justification could be that
Foarte mult ne ajută
we are helped a lot by the relatives of my wife, specifically. I would not see an issue here. This difference could be just a small temporary loan that was given back in the same year, unessential amounts. That it could be even about a donation that we did not reflect in the official papers. That's my explanation.
Yes, exactly. I was about to ask if there would have been any donations from the relatives of your wife or from other family members. There is no evidence of any donations or any declarations of such donations over that year, I suppose.
In general, you probably saw in the declaration that I made, I didn't declare donations from parents and from close relatives. If my relatives or parents decided to give us some financial help or some gifts, we just did not consider that this is something to be declared. Maybe because in our mind it was unessential. Or maybe my wife has at some point received some money that I was not aware of. I think it's normal. And in our culture, parents do help their children and siblings. And to me, this amount is not essential. And I believe that in these helps or donations, it was nothing essential to be declared. At least this is how I think I would explain the fact that I didn't declare that at that time. 40,000. It's, I don't know. Every month, maybe 3,000 lei. I mean, our children receive more expensive gifts from their aunts on holidays.
Okay, let's move to the year 2017. Basically the same story. According to information available to the Commission, in 2017, you had 5 sources of income related to your position as a judge and also at the National Institute of Justice, income of your wife related to the interest over a bank account, income from allowance for the children, income related to savings from the previous year, and a deposit. In the same year, your expenditures related to a total of 7 issues: school fees for one of your children, resources relating to the same investment fund, an expense for a holiday, the reimbursement of part of a loan, a bank deposit relating to your wife, and 2 cash savings. Also here, the Commission, of course, included in this overview the consumption expenditures for population for 2017 for your family. The amount of declared expenses for 2017 totaled then nearly 630,000 lei, and the amount of savings available and income for 2015 totaled 470,000 lei. So the difference between the expenditures and the income and savings goes well over 150,000 lei, 158,000. Also here, we did present it to you earlier. We have so far not received feedback on those figures, but we would appreciate your reflections on this. So also here, my first question would then be, the figures that are presented in this chart, are they the correct figures for that year 2017?
Okay, as I stated in the previous situation, When it comes to figures and incomes, related to the incomes, I don't have any objections.
Moment. Eu am consult acum declarația.
Just a second, I'll consult the declaration.
Deci, ce ține de capitolul cheltuielilor, aici...
When it comes to expenses, I have two objections. So actually, they are not objections. I can call them objections. They are unclarities, and maybe Commission can help me understand. So the first one, savings from 2017, this amount of that is written in my declaration. Maybe I did not pay attention because I'm trying to find this amount. For the declaration of 2017, do you have it in front of you? Can you help me to identify about these cash savings from 2017?
Nu este clară sursa.
Because it's not clear for me the source.
Sursa acestei sume.
The source of this amount.
Iată, dacă ne uităm la
So let's look at the financial assets. I think it should be here.
suma de 195
I can see only 195,000 lei,
despre care o să vorbim.
and we will talk about it later.
Această sumă de 190
But this 190,000, I don't see it in the declaration. Maybe I didn't see it. Maybe it's a technical mistake.
Eu sunt gata acum.
Because I am ready to, I'm open to go through the declaration, because I cannot explain this amount, because it's not in my declaration. So this is my answer to your question.
I would also be in a problem because my Romanian is not sufficient. I do see, yeah, we're talking about banks or savings of 190,350 lei, but my Romanian is insufficient to check it in the official documents.
Domnul Postică, dumneavoastră contestați.
Mr. Postică, you are speaking about 190,350 from 2017? Exactly, yes. What about the bank deposit? No, I said that we will discuss about that one. I just wanted to clarify 190,000, yes?
We just take Mr. Postica's issues and then check. Da? Poate ne spuneți toate...
Dar el nu diferă de declarațiile pe care
But it's not different. My declaration is not different from what you said. Yeah, but there are sometimes technical mistakes, and it's better for us to check and then clarify. So 190,350 lei,
și suma depozitului
yes, and the amount of the bank deposit, 195,000 lei.
Deci, da, această sumă este
Bank
reflectată în
deposit.
declarație,
This is reflected in the declaration
la capitolul
at the
active financiare.
chapter Financial Assets.
Deci această sumă
So this amount
a fost acumulată.
was accumulated. If you look through the figures in the previous declarations, starting from 2013, 14, 15. So in 2013, a child was born, and the last child was born in 2016. And my wife, during these years, she received child benefit support, and that money was deposited on a bank account, on my wife's account, and it was that amount was capitalized, and this amount is not reflecting the year 2017. This is an amount, because you can check this, This is an accumulated amount from the previous years. And if you look at 2017, on that account, 195,000 lei were circulating. It doesn't mean that at the end of the year we had this amount. It was capitalized money, so it was cumulated from previous years, because she was, as I said, receiving this financial benefit for the child. So what I'm saying is that this 195,000 was not the amount accumulated in the year 2017. But what have you indicated in savings for 2017? Did you put anything in your declaration about your savings? What do you have there? I consult now the declaration, and it is written here. Can you just read the amount? Yes, 6,000 euro. These were money from my mother. Okay, maybe it was not the full amount. No, I'm speaking about the savings. But what about the deposit of 140,000 lei? 140,000. 140,000? I am very carefully looking through this declaration, and for the savings, 195,000 lei. And this 10,000 euro is the investment fund, and this is a rate of 500 euro annually. So I indicated the contractual amount. And the rest? No. No, Madam Hrivtevsky, there is no other amounts. There are no other amounts there. I just want to understand what you contest.
I think I have the figures here. You did refer indeed to, according to the information that we have a cash saving of 50,000 lei, and you just indicated that was the child allowance that was apparently put into savings, and that is indeed almost the same amount. And in addition to that, there is a 7,000 cash saving according to our information. But maybe for practical purposes, what we could do is that we will go back to our figures. We also have the figures that you are able to submit if there were any follow-up questions from our side, and if there still are issues that are not clear to us, we can of course always get back to you by further written questions in order to clarify this, because it's probably a bit too complicated to sort this out at this very moment. Is that in agreement with you?
It's on the discretion of the Commission. I am ready to come with as many informations additionally as you need.
Okay. Then let's go to the figures for 2019. Hopefully we are able to establish those during our session. Also in 2019, according to the information available to the Commission, you had 4 sources of income. The salary as in your position as judge, the income of your wife related to DB Express account, and we already discussed that amount, the child allowance, and savings on a bank account in the name of your wife. The expenditures on the other side related to 6 issues: school fees for 2 children, resources relating to an investment fund, the same fund and the same euro price per year, the expense for a holiday, the reimbursement of part of a loan. I think it's the same loan that we also saw in previous years. I think this seems to be the last installment. And 2 cash savings in a bank account of your wife of a total of 650,000 lei, not euros, lei. And also here, of course, we include the consumption expenditures for population for 2019 for your family. If we then look at the total figures, we see a total of declared expenses for 2019 of just over 960,000 lei, and the income is a total of 850,000 lei, or just over 850,000. So there's a difference of 108,000 lei. Also here, the same questions to you. Are there any comments that you would like to make in relation to the income side or the expenses side?
Da, mulțumesc.
Yes, thank you.
Deci, iarăși vreau să intervin asupra
I would like to
capitolului de cheltuieli.
again talk about the expense
Și
side,
aici o să mă opresc asupra
and
sumei de
namely the amount of 646,496 lei
indicată de comisie
that the Commission
și
mentioned.
consultând
And if
declarația
I look
pentru
into the declaration
2019,
for 2019,
putem identifica
we
că
can
la capitolul
identify
5,
that
la
in
capitolul active financiare,
Chapter 5, Financial
am
Assets,
reflectat două
I
sume
reflected
care
two amounts
constituie totalul
that
acestor
altogether
646.000.
get to this 646,000 lei. That is the bank deposit
Sau echivalente în sumă de
of equivalent for 112,451 lei, and the current account in 534,045 lei. Altogether, if we add this up, this probably get to 646,496 lei. You may notice, esteemed Commission members,
Ne oprim asupra sumei de 534.000.
if we stop at the amount of 534,045 lei, but it is not savings, it is a current account. That amount coincides with my wife's income that I mentioned above, if you can see. And this amount was only reflected
mișcându-se pe contul curent
because it was a movement on the current account of my wife during that year. Even if you look in that table, it doesn't say it's savings or deposit. No, the amount of 112,451 lei is mentioned as a deposit or savings because I have no objection about that. That is probably an amount that was collected from the child benefits, and you can see from the next year that amount is smaller because we spent some of it. But this amount, 534,000, equals the income of my wife, so it's not a deposit, it's not a saving, which we did not spend, we did not deposit that money. That's my answer. Thank you.
And that is indeed correct, because if we look at the detailed figures that we have as well, then the money in the bank account of your wife, to put it in neutral terms without using the word savings, consists of two figures, and one is indeed exactly the figure of the income of your wife, and the other one is a figure of 112,000. And it's unclear where that then would come from, but Nadezhda?
According to Commission's data, this amount, 534,000, it was on her account at the end of the year. That's why we considered that as a saving. Everything that is on account, if you can test, because if that is only income that you received and she spent, is different. But everything that is on account as of the end of the year is perceived as savings. I am not sure that this amount was there on 31st December on the account of my wife. I am not sure. Sure, this money was obtained during the years, on January 1st to December 31st, based on activity she had with DB Express account, the amount that we discussed, and which are reflected in the declarations from the tax authority, but that is not about savings. If that was savings, probably I would have put it in the bank deposit part, similarly to the 112,000 amount. But this is just reflected as an amount that went through the current account of my wife. That's what I believe it's important to mention. So this is not a declaration of what you had as of the end of the year. No, this is just the amount that went through the current account of my wife during the year. No, it's not that we kept that money until the end of the year there as a savings or a deposit, or classic one. This was just a reflection
Știți, eu uneori în
You
unele
know,
declarații
sometimes
probabil
in
ați
some
observat și
declarations,
dumneavoastră,
you also
în
noticed
unele
that
declarații eu indicam și
in some
cardul meu
declarations I was
consilient,
also
cardul de
mentioning
salariu și
my
indicam
current
tot aici.
account.
Și
I
asta
was
nu-
also
nu-
putting
nu-i
it
corect,
here,
dar
which is
numai
not right,
unele pare mi se
but I
indicat
think
asta,
I
dar nu
did
înseamnă
it.
că eu am economisit
But that
acei bani
doesn't
până
mean
să
that I
fac.
saved
Eu
that
am
money
tot
until the end of the
făcut.
year. I spent them.
Țineam
I
salariu,
spent
dar
it
ei
during.
erau
I was,
reflectați la
I was
capitolul
getting
active
the
financiare, adică
salary,
capitolul
but I
5.
was reflecting
De
it
ce?
in
Probabil
financial
nu
assets
am
in
avut ce am indicat
chapter
și
5. That's why
cu
similarly I probably
veniturile soției.
mentioned my wife's income here as well.
Are there any other questions from my colleagues on this? If that is not the case, I did receive a request from my colleagues to have to withdraw as a commission briefly before, because this was the end of our discussions and questions to you. We of course would like to give you the floor for a closing statement, but prior to that I think the Commission would like to briefly withdraw before coming back and having then the closing statement from your side. So we will briefly withdraw and come back to you as quickly as possible. Is everyone ready? Then we can resume the hearing. As I just mentioned to you, Judge Postică, we've come to the end of all the questions that we had for you this afternoon. As is standard practice with our hearings, we always give the candidate the opportunity for a brief final closing statement. So we would like to give you that opportunity right now. So please proceed.
Vă mulțumesc, domnul președinte.
Thank you, Chairperson.
În primul rând vă mulțumesc
First of all,
că m-ați răbdat toate
thank
aceste
you
aproape
for
3 ore.
bearing with me for almost 3 hours now.
Eu, pe scurt,
Briefly,
vreau să remarc
I would
următoarele
like
despre
to
acest exercițiu
mention the following about this
numit pre-vetting.
exercise called
Și,
pre-vetting.
Probabil că intuiți
And
atitudinea
maybe
mea
you
reieșind din
can sense
corespondența
my
pe care am
attitude
avut-o
based on
pe
the
parcursul acestor
correspondence
luni
we
cu
had
membrii
over these
Secretariatului,
months
domnul
with the
președinte.
members of the Secretariat and the Chairperson.
Intuiesc și eu
I also
și nu fac mari
suppose,
iluzii,
and I don't have
spunând-o pe șleau,
illusions, and I'm
probabil care
openly
o să fie,
stating that
soluția
I don't have
Comisiei
illusions about
în privința
the
mea,
Commission's solution about
dar nu
my
am
case.
venit, fiindcă
But,
dacă știam din start că
you know,
chiar în pofida faptului că după 9 septembrie și
despite
tot ce s-a
the
întâmplat, toate
fact
lucrurile
that
care
after
au
September the
urmat
9th and everything
una
that
după alta,
happened after, one after another,
chiar știind
even
că o să fiu
knowing that
intimid,
I will be not intimidated, that's not the right word, but I will be under pressure, so such pressure will be put on my person. I insisted to come before you
să vorbesc,
to talk,
să nu mă ascund,
not to hide,
să nu mi ascund
not
averile,
to
să nu mi ascund
hide my
interesele,
assets, my
fiindcă,
interests,
după cum am menționat,
because,
sunt
as I mentioned,
destul de corect
I am
în toți acești ani m-am
quite
ghidat
correct.
de niște
Over all
principii
these
de
years, I
corectitudine și de
followed
onestitate,
principles
iar
of
onoarea și demnitatea
correctness,
pentru mine
honesty,
și pentru
and
familia mea
honor and dignity
contează
for me and my
cu mult mai
family
mult
matter
decât
much
funcția de
more
membru
than
al Consiliului
the
Superior al
position of a member
Magistraturii,
in the
chiar și decât
Superior
funcția
Council of
de
Magistracy,
judecător.
even more than
Asta
the
e
position of a
unul la
judge.
mână.
That's first of all.
Poate ironic un pic o să spuneți că eu am
Maybe
menționat de la
you
început
can say it's
că
ironical because I said at the
apreciez
beginning that I
acest exercițiu ca pe
appreciate
un
this
experiment
exercise
social,
as a social
dar eu deloc nu
experiment,
sunt ironic
but I'm
și
not ironical
confirm
when I
acest
say
lucru.
that. I confirm this.
Și eu vreau să vă mulțumesc
And
că
I would like to
depuneți și ați
thank
depus un
you that
efort
you
foarte mare și încă mai urmează.
made and you keep making a huge
Dar cu
effort
regret,
and you'll keep
nu
doing that. But
sunt
unfortunately, I am
că
not
acest exercițiu
convinced that this activity
pe care
that
îl faceți,
you
pe
are
care îl face
making,
societatea și așteptările
that
de la acest
the
exercițiu
society and the
vor fi
expectations
pe
that
măsură.
society has from it will
Și sunt
meet
gata și să
the
răspund de
expectations.
ce.
And I'm ready to say why.
În permanență, societatea
Permanently,
noastră
the
are foarte mari așteptări
society
la
has
judecători.
great expectations from judges,
de la politicieni,
from
de la
politicians,
guvern,
from the government,
că o să se schimbe
that
lucrurile spre bine.
things will change towards
Cu
better.
regret, eu o să mă refer doar
Unfortunately,
la
and I
sistemul în care
will
activez
only
deja
speak
mai bine
about
de
the system that
22
I've
de
been
ani,
working for
de
over
sistemul
23
judecătoresc.
years, and that's the
Cu
judiciary.
regret, noi
Unfortunately,
puțin probabil că vom reuși să avem un
it's
sistem
very unlikely
judecătoresc
for us to
puternic,
have a strong judiciary, a solid one,
atâta timp
as long
cât
as
există ingerințe din
there are
partea politicului.
interference is
toți
coming
acești ani, cel puțin de când
from
eu
politics.
activez
For all
în
these
organele
years, at
procuraturii,
least since I've been
în
working
organele
in
justiției, în
prosecution and
permanență, conducerea
justice,
politică,
always
fie
the political
care nu fi, ca toți
power,
politicienii care s-au
no
prezentat
matter
au
who, because
încercat
all politicians that we saw over the
într-un
years,
fel
they
oarecare
tried in a way or
să
another
pună multe accente
to
pe justiție.
stress the
S-au
justice.
creat concepte
They
de reformare a
created concepts of
justiției, s-au
reforming
modificat legi,
justice. Laws had been
iată, am
amended.
ajuns și la acest
We
prevetting,
even got to
urmează
this
vetting-ul.
pre-vetting. Then the
În
vetting will
realitate,
follow. In reality,
iarăși asta este părerea mea
again, that is
subiectivă,
my subjective opinion,
vetting-ul sau evaluarea judecătorilor
vetting
sau
or
procurorilor
assessment of judges and
nu
prosecutors
este mai mult
is
decât o
nothing
lozincă
more
politică.
than a political
Toată stima și
slogan.
respectul față
With
de
all my
toți
due
membrii
respect to
comisiei,
all commission
că
members,
depuneți chiar
because
un
you are
lucru
really
enorm și
making a huge job.
un sacrificiu, pot
And
spune,
I can
sunteți
even
departe
say
de casă
you're
și
making
ați
a
venit.
sacrifice. You're far from your
Posibil
homes.
că eu cel puțin de
And
mine
at least
răspund.
I'm
Eu vă
speaking
spun iarăși
from my
sincer, nu
perspective. I'm
urmăresc
honestly,
interviurile
I don't
celorlalți
watch the
candidați.
interviews of other
Eu nu știu, posibil
candidates.
că
I don't know.
mă refer aici la
And
experții străini,
maybe I'm speaking
toată stima
about
și respect, poate
foreign
v-ați așteptat
experts. Maybe
să
you
găsiți aici
expected
teroriști,
that you will find here terrorists
oameni cu
or
conturi în
people
offshore,
with offshore
vile pe la
accounts, with
Bahama,
villas on
mă
Bahamas.
refer la judecători,
I mean, judges
cu probleme grave
with
de integritate.
bad
există,
integrity
nu spun
issues.
că nu există
Yes,
probleme.
I'm not saying that
Să
there are
muncești
no
mai
problems.
mult de 20 de
But
ani,
working for over
bine,
20
acumulezi
years,
și o doză
you also get
de
some
lucruri pozitive și o doză de lucruri
positive
negative, fără
things,
doar și
some
poate.
negative things.
Dar
That's
nu știu
normal.
dacă
But
sistemul
I don't know
nostru
if our
judecătoresc
system, our judiciary,
este
is
cel mai
the
lipsit de integritate și în asemenea
most
proporții că necesită
with the biggest
măsură
lack of integrity
de
and to
evaluare
such an extent that would need an
extraordinară, care
extraordinary
poate să
assessment
spun
that
cum prea
maybe I will be
puternic acest lucru.
too harsh
Dar după
saying
mine,
that, but in my
acest
opinion,
lucru poate să
this
echivaleze cu o lustrație.
is equivalent to lustration.
Puteți nu fi de acord, desigur,
You
cu mine,
can disagree
dar
with
în
me,
maniera în care
but
au fost adoptate legile,
given the
în
way
maniera în
that
care
these
se
laws were
grăbesc
adopted,
lucrurile, în
given
maniera
the
în
way
care
that things are
politicienii ies la tribună
rushed and
și
having
declară
politicians
că
going
prevetting-ul,
up and speaking that
contrar
pre-vetting,
așteptărilor,
as opposite
se
to
împotmolește
expectations,
și
is
probabil că vetting-ul se
stumbling
fac
and
alte
probably
comisii.
the
Deci
vetting will be done
aceste
by another
lucruri,
commission.
nu pot să nu
These
trezească
things
mari și grave semne de întrebare
raise
referitor la
big,
implicația
severe
politicului
question
și nu
marks about the
implicația asupra
interference of politicians, and not on the
comisiei,
activity of the commission
dar
members,
asupra creării
but
unei
on
percepții
creating
din
a
partea
perception for the
societății, că,
society
uite,
that,
prevetting-ul
look,
totuși nu e așa
preventing
cum
is
conform
not
așteptărilor. Că trebuia
as
într-o
we
lună,
expected, because in a
când dați toți
month they
afară.
should
Da,
all
poate
be kicked
politicienii au
out.
avut așteptări că
Maybe politicians had
mulți
such
din judecători
expectations
se
that
elibereze
many
din
of the
funcție.
judges will
O să
resign, will
se sperie că, uite, ne așteaptă
become
prevetting-ul,
afraid, and will say,
cum am mai
oh
anunțat,
God, the pre-vetting
și
is
alți,
coming, and as
alte
other
persoane, o să treacă
people
buldozerul
mentioned, like
peste
there will be a
judecători și
bulldozer
procurori și nu o să
going
aibă
over
încotro și o să
judges
trimită.
and prosecutors, and they
Eu
will all
personal,
resign.
nu mă tem
They
nici
will
de
have no other
evaluare
way.
externă, nici de
Personally,
evaluare
I am
internă.
not afraid
Până la urmă,
of
știți cum,
any external or internal assessment. In the end,
eu deja am o experiență.
I already
nu e cea mai
have
bogată
some experience.
experiență în
Maybe it's
spate.
not the biggest
Dar
experience,
eu sunt în stare, probabil,
but
să-mi
I
continui și cariera în
am
domeniul privat.
able to
Și probabil că o să
continue
am
my
mult
career
mari succese
in the
dacă
private
vorbim
sector as well. And
financiare.
probably from the
Dar mai-
financial
încă o
point of
dată
view,
mai
I'll be
repet,
more
eu
successful
fac
over there.
activitate
But
didactică,
once more, I am
deja câțiva ani.
involved in teaching activity for
Îmi
several
continui
years
doctoratul
now.
la
I continue my
Universitatea de
PhD
Stat
with the
și m-am
State
dedicat
University.
acestei funcții.
I
Poate chiar și m-am
devoted
sacrificat,
myself,
dacă spun prea
maybe
puternic,
even
dar și m-am sacrificat.
sacrificed, maybe that's too much to say, but
Din plăcere
maybe
și
I
din
sacrificed myself to this
satisfacție
position
profesională,
because
din
of
dorința de a
professional
crește
pleasure and
profesional zi cu
satisfaction,
zi,
because
din
I want to
dorința
grow
și din
professionally
satisfacția pe care o am
every
eu
day,
văzând,
because of a desire
părțile satisfăcute în urma unui
and
proces
satisfaction I have
echitabil
when I
pe care
see
cel puțin eu depun efort,
parties that are happy
depuneam
after a
până
fair
acum
trial,
3 luni, zi de zi,
because I was,
să
I'm
văd
making, no,
aceste
I was
rezultate.
making until 3 months
Acest
ago,
rod al muncii mele.
making efforts to
Dacă
see these
cineva
results of my
a
work.
considerat, fără
And
să
if
nominalizăm,
someone
fără multe
believes,
persoane, eu
not
mă
even
mai
not
repet,
to mention
prevetting-ul pentru
names of
mine
people, but for
l-ați
me,
decis nu mult stimați
pre-vetting for me was
membrii
decided not
comisiei,
by you,
dar
much
probabil că au
esteemed
decis
commission
alte
members, but
persoane.
other people decided it
alte
for me
săli și în alte
in
birouri.
other rooms,
Dar cu
in
aceste
other
lucruri
offices.
noi o să ne
But
clarificăm.
we will,
Eu o să mă clarific în special.
I will clarify, I
Fiindcă
will
dacă până acum
find that
pentru
out in the end, because
Postică,
if until now
până la
for
data de
Postică,
9
until September 9th,
pre-vetting-ul era un
the
scop
pre-vetting was a purpose,
în sine.
per se.
Un obiectiv, mai bine
Sorry,
zis.
a goal, that
Acum
would be
o să
better said.
fie
Now,
continuu doar ca
it
ca o
will
metodă și ca
continue
un
only
mecanism
as a
de a
method
apăra
and as a
onoarea și
mechanism to
demnitatea
defend my
de orice
honor
căi
and
și
dignity
instrumente
through
legale
every
posibile.
possible legal
Eu pe
mechanisms
această
and
cale
ways.
vă mulțumesc.
I would like to thank you. I wish you a lot of success from now on. You have a task,
Noi, o sarcină istorică, poate,
a historical
dar
one maybe,
cu părere de rău,
but unfortunately,
există foarte multe
there
probleme
are
și
so many problems.
eu aș critica în primul
And
rând
I would
legea
criticize,
26.
first of all, law number 26.
Eu nu sunt adept la faptul
I
că
am
nu
not a
trebuie
supporter
evaluați
that
judecătorii și nu trebuie
judges should not be assessed or
evaluați foarte adânc.
should
și
not be
procurorii.
assessed, and prosecutors should not be
acest
assessed
lucru
thoroughly
trebuie
and
să
deeply.
fie
But
făcut
this has
proporționat,
to be done in a
trebuie
proportionate
să fie
manner.
făcut
It
în
has
audea
to be done
constituționalității.
within the
Deci,
constitutional
după mine,
limits.
legea 26,
So, in my opinion, law number 26
care are o asemenea
which
anvergură
is
și un
of such a
asemenea
great
impact,
extent
nu
and
doar
of
asupra
such a great
judecătorilor și
impact, not only
procurorilor,
on
dar și
judges and
asupra
prosecutors, but
așteptărilor
on
societății,
expectations
este
of
o
entire
lege
society,
foarte slabă.
is a very weak law.
După cum cunoașteți,
As
eu
you
am
know,
contestat
I
aceste regulamente.
challenged the
Nu că
regulations.
aș avea ceva împotriva
It's not that
comisiei.
I have
Eu
something
nu vreau
against
să
the
fie
Commission.
interpretat
I don't
că
want this to be
Postică se
interpreted that
opune,
Postică is
vehement comisiei. Dacă eu mă
strongly
opuneam, eu cred că
opposing
mă
the
retrăgeam
Commission.
și
You know, if I
oricum,
was so much
contestațiile
opposed,
și
I probably
altele le
would
făceam
withdraw
fără-
and I
fără a
would make
participa și
challenges
fără
without being
a
part of this process,
apărea
without
în fața domniilor
coming
voastre.
before you.
Deci acest lucru
So this thing
este necesar de făcut
is
pentru
necessary.
a
It has to
ajunge,
be done in order
iarăși,
to,
din punctul meu de
again,
vedere,
from my point of
într-o
view,
albie
to
a
get
legalității.
into a path of legality. So this
După mine,
pre-vetting, which,
legea are grave probleme
well,
de
in my opinion, the law
de
has
constituționalitate.
strong constitutionality issues
Și probabil că acest lucru
And
va trebui
this
să fie verificat
will have to be verified probably
critici de constituționalitate la curte,
through
dar asta tot la etapa
constitutionality
corespunzătoare. Eu nu vreau să
criticism
anticipez
with the
multe
court.
lucruri.
But that everything at the right stage. I don't want to
Vreau doar să vă
anticipate too many
mulțumesc
things. I just want to
că
thank you
m-ați tolerat.
for tolerating
Vreau
me.
să, nu știu ce ați decideți
I
referitor
don't
la materiale.
know
dacă
what you will decide
pot să
about the
vi le prezint
materials.
sau nu
Can
pot să le
I
prezint.
submit them to
Deja
you or not?
îmi comunicați și dumneavoastră.
You will let me
Eu sunt
know.
gata, cel
I
puțin
am
la runda
ready,
aceasta
at
de
least
întrebări.
in
Eu am
this
fost
round of
pregătit.
questions. I was prepared for
am
it.
dat răspunsurile și în
I
scris.
gave
În afară
answers
de asta,
in
v-am
writing,
răspuns și în fața
and I
domnilor.
also answered
Dacă
in
le
front of
acceptați,
you.
eu vă le prezint.
So if you accept, I will
Și o să
provide my
aștept,
materials to you,
cu
and
nerăbdare
I will
soluția, oricare ar fi. Eu am să o accept și am să o
I'll
respect.
be looking forward for your solution, no matter what it is, and I will respect it.
Mulțumesc.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your statement. From our side, from the Commission side, we would like to briefly comment upon an issue that you raised at the beginning of the hearing, and also in communication with the Secretariat, and also in particular about the issue as to whether or not there might have been any leakage from the Secretariat or from the Commission to other authorities that are involved in the criminal investigation. And I think the Commission would like to put it on the record how we have been working on your case in order to clarify this matter. As you know, and as we also recounted at the beginning of the hearing, we did submit to you on the 8th of July a 5-year declaration form that you did submit on time within 7 working days, or within 7 days on the 15th of July. And it is only after the 15th of July that the Secretariat started accessing databases in relation to all candidates. As you know, the law number 26 does provide the authority to the Commission to access a number of databases and seek the cooperation of a number of authorities, including fiscal authorities, NAC, and so many other authorities in this country. And of course we have done so, and we have done so in relation to all candidates equally. We have, on the 4th of July, we did receive information from the state fiscal authorities and also from other authorities around the same period in relation to your case, but in relation to all candidates at the same time. We did, at the end of June, we did seek the cooperation of a number of authorities in the country based on the authority and the powers that the Commission has. And so, as of the 4th of July, we did also receive information in relation to your case. But also, and again, for the record, we would like to clarify that the Secretariat has only started working on your case, because, as you know, there are many other candidates as of sometime in August. This is just for from our side what we would like to put on the record, and to clarify the situation on the different stages in the process. In relation to your question about the sharing of information with us, yes, we do appreciate indeed if you were to be able to submit such material. As we do, and as you know, the standard practice is that all our communication with candidates is done through email, also to make sure that the records of what is being transmitted to the Commission and also what is being communicated from the Commission through the Secretariat to all candidates, that there is a proper record of every form of communication there. So we would appreciate indeed if you would be able to send your materials that we see you have already prepared for this hearing, and if you could do so by, let's say, close of business on Monday, we would very much appreciate that. So I hope that that timeline is good for you to observe. With that being said, and thank you very much for confirming, with that being said, we come to the end of the hearing. I thank you for being here this afternoon. I thank you for listening and answering all the questions that the Commission had for you. As you know, the Commission will now withdraw for deliberations, and as much as possible, the Commission will strive at delivering a decision within a month after the date of this hearing. I hereby declare this hearing closed, and I would like to thank you again for being with us this afternoon. Thank you so much.